Shambho, Mahadev, 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 Mahadev. Para Pashyanti Madhyama Vekhari. Para, the head. So we explained about, unless the matter comes to the head, it is coming into the brain or memories, whatever you call it. This cannot come out as an expression. So the expression takes birth in the thought level in the beginning. That is the expression, level of expression. That's why it is known as express. See, an expression is defined as the causative parameter for the nama. Otherwise, nama's existence will not be there. Nama has to be expressed. So, that expression comes only through the speech. The speech is known as the expression of the thought. That which is there in the thought level, why it has to be expressed? Let it remain as thought. When it is expressed, one is known as cause, another is known as effect. One is known as jnanam, one is known as the awareness, another is known as the jnanam. Unless it is expressed, experienced, it doesn't become the jnanam. So unless the nama is expressed, ucharana is not done, it doesn't become a karma, it doesn't become an experience. Unless there is an experience, the result of experience or the conclusion of experiment is not concluded. It's an experiment. The thought is an experiment. Now that experiment has to be sakshatkarana has to be done of an experiment. Then only it will be known as the Atma Sakshatkaram or Parikshana Sakshatkaram. No? Parikshana Sakshatkaram is what? An experimental in a laboratory, in a physical chemistry book. There are so many problems they give. Unless you, in the laboratory, you experiment it, no, it doesn't become complete. Otherwise, it remains as a knowledge of somebody. See, I am talking, you are listening. That remains as a knowledge of me, not yours. You are only aware of it now. Unless you establish it, pratishtito bhava, it has to happen. You cannot force that whatever I say, you cannot, you believe that whatever he says is right. You can't instruct the mind, can you? The mind has to believe, that's all, is it not? Who has to believe? The mind has to believe. Can you say, no, I think he is right? No, why am I getting that? No, he is not right sometimes. No, it is right. No, it will not happen. A doubt. Samshayatma vinashyate. Samshayatma vinashyate. Nasham is the lakshana of the samshayatma or result of the samshayatma. Anywhere, if there is a samshaya, why? Because here the samshaya is not on what you know or what you don't know. Here the samshaya is what is truth and untruth. What is the truth? Truth I do not know. A physical bodied minded man who has born in limitations, who has grown up in limitations, who has limitations in thought level, how can he know the unlimited truth? So a professor, when he describing or the Maha Rishis and Tapasvis in somewhere in the Vedas and Upanishads said that unbelievability is the para Parajnana Vicharana Samkshepam. That is unbelievability. Unbelievability is the basis of the absolute truth, the pramana of the truth. Pramana. Pramana means the saksha. Pramana is that evidence. Pramana is an evidence. Unbelievability is the evidence of the absolute truth, is the meaning of it. That means avishwasaniyam. Avishwasaniya is the parama satya lakshana pramana. Is the word it is given there. Parama satya lakshana pramanam is what unbelievability. What is unbelievability? What do you understand from unbelievability? Avishwasaniya. What is avishwasaniya? That which is not the truth. That is the problem. Yeah. Disbelievability is that untruth. Disbelievability is untruth. Unbelievability is what? Oh my God, it is unbelievable. You are not establishing that it is not there, but your mind cannot believe it. It is unbelievable, is it not? Unbelievability is not that it is establishing, it is untruth. That's why I asked that specific question. It is disbelief. There is another word for that. Well, sorry, it's not a language class and I am not good at it. I am not eligible to teach language. But still, since I know only this subject as far as this is concerned, I can say that. So disbelieving, avishwasaniya has got, see, avishwasaniya. The other one is that what? It is false. Falsehood is there. Disbelievable. No. It is impossible. Disbelief. No. How is it possible? Oh, somebody fell on the head from 15th floor. He did not die. No, come on. Don't tell me that. It is disbelievable. No. But when you are seeing something, it's unbelievable. You are seeing it. But still say it is unbelievable. Ishvara is unbelievable. Because the truth cannot be expressed. You understand? What is unbelievable? Unbelievability has no expression. That's why I said this. Mana, unbelievability, the Parama Satya Pramana. Absolute truth's Pramana is unbelievable. That means unbelievable. Who can believe it? Only the one who has the capacity to believe it is only can believe it. When he goes beyond certain limitations of believability, it is unbelievable. So that is the truth, Paramasatya Pramanam. That's the Paramasatya, unbelievability. It's not that amazement, unbelief. Is it? Because I am not sure. Is it? Like when you say, you are seen in the televisions and movies and all that. Bhagavan Shiv suddenly appears and then he grows big. Grows big and big, huge, and the man stands there and becomes so small, and this is unbelievably huge. It's huge, that I know, but it is unbelievable. Is it possible? Because it is beyond my capability of understanding, is what is called the amaze or unbelievability. Is it possible? Look at the Akara Vishwarupa Darshanam. Okay, forget. Which is very commonly described. Vishwarupa Darshanam. What is Vishwarupa Darshanam? Unbelievable, is it not? One cannot even think what is Vishwarupa. Forget about knowing it. See. Can you even picturize what is Vishwarupa? Only what they have shown in the televisions and other things, you can say that with 10 heads or 20 heads, something like that. That's not Vishwarupa, but it's only a representation to tell you that it is numerous, which is beyond the capacity to understand, because mana and buddhi only can understand, then only can memorize, So unbelievability is such a beautiful word it is, so it should not be misrepresented. Unbelievability. See, unbelievably, it is unbelievable. That's the truth. So why did I say this? I said that the thoughts, they are unbelievable because they do not, from where it comes, how it comes, maybe due to experience, how from this experience the thought level has been converted and it is stored and it is coming. Yesterday I had an experience, today that is converted into the form of thought, and I utilize that thought in order to solve another problem, even though it is not right, but it is there in the thought level. So everything is in the thought level. That which contains in the thought level is unbelievable. So when it transforms into the form of the speech, it becomes an experience and becomes believable. When I said unbelievable, it was beyond your head. When an explanation is given, vakyartha and vachartha has been given, when that has become believable. Yes, it has become believable. Whether it is still you do not know whether it is right or wrong, that's different. But it is believable, it has come believable. Why? Because I am saying it. That's all. There is no other proof for that. There is no other establishing truth in that. That's why there has to be faith. That which is if you want to know which is unknown, if you want to know which is beyond the fields of known, if you want to know which is the truth, which is not limited, which is entangled in the emotions and the vichara and vikara, if you want to know that, you have to have the faith. Because you do not have the capability of understanding and believing it. So he says, this comes in the head level. So what happens? In the experiencing, now, whatever comes in the thought, para pashyanti, madhyama vaikari, through that, if it is expressed, what happened? Expressed in the sense, it is not only the vani, speech here, because the words which is spoken, we are telling about the speech. Speech is also conversion of the thought into the form of action. It can be considered as speech here. See. So when it is produced into an action, even a speech is also an action, actually. So when the thought is converted into the form of action, karmam, then it becomes an experimental experience. It's an experimental experience. Yes. So every experience has to be experimented, and not only that, it has to be utilized for the purpose of one's own discipline and living. This has to be experienced. This has to be put into the experience in our day-to-day and in our function, as I told you earlier also. It has to be implemented in the karmas that is being executed. Then only it will be transformed or converted as jnana. How one can do the nishkama karma? The karma has to be identified and the kama has to be identified, and you also have to understand that this kamam doesn't have any attraction with the karma, because karma is only an illusion. Karma is only for the purpose of an action that is being done. So when it is nishkama karma, this nishkama karma and the link of nishkama and karma, when it is understood, when it is cleared, experimented, experienced, when it happens, what happens? It becomes an experience. That experience is known as taking you towards the truth, beyond the bondage, beyond the binding. But a person, sakama karmi, he says, karma is that what is everything, And the result of the karma is that what I would like to enjoy, and that is what is everything. For him, the karma phala is experiencing, is why you believe in it. Who? Sakama karmis believe in the result of the karmas, is why he is utilizing the karma phalas for executing further karmas. Okay? He utilizes that for the further karma. So for him, that is his experience. But with that experience, what happens? He doesn't reach into the level of the jnanam. He remains in a position of the karmi, sakama karmi, that's all. Here it ends. For him, nothing happens after that. So whereas here it comes, whereas speech is concerned or karma is concerned. So first is the head. Then we said it comes to the chest. So in the para, head is one. Next is the chest, means what? The hridaya, where the emotions are mixed with that. Immediately now what happens? That purified experimental experience, which is not known, which is right or wrong, for the purpose of using it as a tool, this thought comes into me. But that thought is mixed with the emotions and attachments and desires and whatnot. Everything comes in the emotions. Is mixed in the emotions, and then when that emotion is mixed with that, there is no way when that thought which is unprecedented, the thought which is not created by you in the sense not now, it has come. That thought which is there, by default it is there, and it has come into the emotional center, and the thought getting mixed with the emotional center. This I have explained earlier also. Getting mixed with the emotional center naturally cannot retain inside you, because this has to be experimented. So when it has to be experimented, the only way to experiment is that to express it. So here, if it is vani, vachaha, it will come only, next is the throat. Throat is known as the pashyanti. Now, heart is known as pashyanti. Here it is known as madhyama. This throat as well as the root of the tongue is known as madhyama. So, head, chest, throat, root of tongue. Root of tongue is known as madhyama. Okay, then comes Vaikhari is the last. In expression through the throat. See, every time it changes its position, it also changes its pattern of expression. It changes its mode, In the thought level, it was a pure form. Like in the past Janma, in the previous Janma, I had this experience, whatever it is, good or bad, this experience. Now I would like in this Janma, this experience has to be there because I have earned a karma phala. This pure classification comes as a thought. He is not telling which one to be used. Okay. Now when it comes to in the pashyanti, in the heart level or emotional level, we add the present emotional level to that thought which is impartial. The thought is impartial. Here you create a partiality to that. And when a partiality is created, emotion has been created. But in expression what happens? In expression you add something more. Expression is also invisible. I mean, the Pashyanti is also invisible. In the chest level, it is invisible. In the para level, it is invisible. But the moment it comes to the Madhyama and Vaikari, it is visible. Okay. So if a man wants to express something, he can change it in the throat level and the root level. It will be totally different from both of this, and the experience also will be according to that. Again, you will have a recollection of experimental experience in the karma balas, totally different. So from here to here, lot of changes takes place. Because by the time your emotions have worked on that, and during the process of coming from here to here, words have changed, thought have changed, expression has changed. Here there is hatred, and the moment it comes to that, it will be sweetness. इसलिए we say that मन में और कुछ, विचार में और कुछ, बोलना और कुछ है. No? The words become different. If your thought and the emotion level and the word, if it is all same, how we change our words only to, depending upon the circumstance and the situation, we are not expressing it truly. Most of us do it, or everyone do it. Everyone does this. No? What they think, they do not say. Sometimes what they think, they say, but most of the time, what do they think? They don't say. It depends upon then what happens? Immediately you identify, with this, by the time it comes to the throat, you understand, if I express it, whether I will get any labha or nashta. No? Now it becomes a vyapara. Based on that, these things changes. So from the throat level, it changes. It may change or it may not change. Depends. Now so these are all classification of the expression. I am talking about the expression. Here it is not discussed that. We are not discussing. Here it is totally different. But I am just telling you, you all understand this because we all do it every moment. So you will definitely understand. What you think and what you speak, most of the time is totally different. Sometimes after speaking, one realizes, I should not have spoken that. See, what happened? That which came through the emotion, it has come out. At that point of time, what happened? You are neither in the control of the thought, nor in the control of the emotion, nor in the control of Madhyama or Vaikari, nor in the control of the self or Jnanam or advice or Ashirvadam, anything. You are absolutely a slave to the emotion temporarily expressed at that moment of time, which is changeable every minute, every moment. That's why if you delay a speech, probably it will be totally different from what you thought of speaking and speaking afterwards. If you delay it. Samaya has nothing to do with that delay, is it not? Why the delayed process should change your speech? If the speech is firm, if the thought is firm, speech is firm, and if it is absolutely right, that is what you want to express through your emotion, by kala, why it should change? 10 years, 100 years, 50 years, or thousands of years, the speech should be same. But within a fraction, even if you delay for a moment, next moment, if you delay for a moment, next moment, the expression is different. Because emotions are so temporary. Emotions are so temporary that depends upon your experience of your panchendriyas, a practice of your panchendriyas. These emotions are changeable. They are not stable, they are not constant. But what happens? The man has taken the dependency of that unstable emotional level for the purpose of expression of the thought. Is why this change has come. Here, what are we saying? What is the Upanishad saying? That what is thinking has to come to Madhyama and Pashyanti Madhyama Vaikari in all the same way. So the expression will be exactly that, what is that impartial thought. When that happens, it will become a nishkama karma. Otherwise, it is a sakama karma. This is how you convert nishkama karma into sakama karma within a short space here. Everything is planned for nishkama karma. Why did you take birth? In order to fulfill and complete the unfinished karmas or karma balas and get the liberation from that is the purpose of the birth. Even though that was your purpose of birth, what happened after being born? In the process of expression, you made it as a sakama karma and converted your liberation into binding bondage of the Janana Marana. You understood how you create a karma and karma phala now? Why we are not able to do nishkama karma? It is not that it is not there. It is programmed, every thought is programmed as nishkama karma. But when it is utilized, it becomes sakama karma. Okay? So here he says, hey, Deva Rishi, who said? Maha Rishi Sanatkumara said that, hey Deva Rishi, that so the speech becomes higher than the name. Now what has become important? The speech has become important. That speech makes the name actually. No? The speech makes the name. From where the name Rigveda has come? From the speech, not from the thought. In the thought, what is there? Vedas with knowledge. From where the divisions have come? From the speech. Why the speech is there? Speech is there necessary for the mind or for the buddhi, bodham, buddhi, to understand it and divide it and utilize it according to the nama. So nama is created by the speech. Nama is not created by the thought. In the thought it is not there. In the thought what is there? Only jnanam. Now the jnanam is converted into various things when it is speaking. They are divided into Rigveda, Samaveda, Atharvana Veda, and this Yajurveda, and the Vedanga, Vedanta, Upanishad, etc. So speech is an expression. Now I had been only telling that how one should express, but here the classification is only divided into expression. So why nama and then the nama and the speech, vani, vakya, vam. That's why you remember in one of the classes I said Vangvai Brahma. Vani is Brahman. Vak is Brahman. Yes, Vak is also Brahman because that is expression. In that expression, what happens? There are so many expressions. Expressions are good, expressions are bad, expressions with good, expressions with bad. No? Expressions hiding good, expressions hiding bad. Expressing good, expressing bad. Everything is there. So, Vangvai Brahma. Vani. So, Shuddhata has to be there. Where it is, where are we coming to? These are all meant for identifying the Parishuddhata for the purpose of attainment of the Brahman. So, everywhere there has to be Shuddhata. Okay. So, in the Vani also, in Vangvai, that's why Vangvai Brahma, Annam Brahma. We pray to Annam, see? Brahma Arpanam, Brahma Havi, you do puja, and then lot of formalities, offer this as Naivedyam to the Lord, everything is done. Why you are not offering your Vani as Naivedyam to the God? That's also expression. That's also Brahman. Vangvai Brahma. Vani is also expressed to the Lord. Is why bhajans and kirtans and namadeyam, that nama sankirtanam, everything has been created. Why? Because that is Brahman. It is for the purpose of samarpanam, not only for just like that. So that samarpana, through that Vangvai Brahma, from that Vani, when you chant the Namam, Namam is not important. Namam should vanish. What should become important? That Nama is what? Na, Mama, Nama. Namaha is Na Mama. Nama is Na Mama. That which is not. To establish that, you see. That's why Nama Ucharanam. Namam is not important then. Beyond something Namam. That is why that unbelievable, that which is not seen, which is not believable, which is not believable, that which is, these are all which is there and can be expressed. So, through the emotions that is spoken. So, Madhyama and Vaikhari. Vaikhari is involved the teeth, upper palate, tip of tongue, lips. They are all involved in the Vaikhari. This is how the 8 angas are involved in a speech. Head, chest, throat, root of the tongue, teeth, nostrils, yes, and lips and palate. These are the Ashta Anga involved in the speech. Ashtanga, just rough speeches. That is why these angas are given in order to have the proper speech. So through various stages, a speech is traveling through various speeches before it is expressed. So that you got 7 areas, or at least 6 areas, 6 positions you have got chance and choice to correct it. And when it comes to the last turn, there is no choice, it is just thrown out. So God has given that, So it is traveling through 6 positions, or 8, or throughout 8 positions. Out of that, the major portions are there where if it is necessary to suit the Nishkama Karma, the speech can be changed. Well, that is not discussed here, but what is discussed here by Maha Rishi Sanatkumara to Deva Rishi Narada is nothing but giving an importance over the speech to Nama. Is that what he is expressing? So Bhagavan says, unless the speech is there, Nama is not there. Because Nama is that which you are repeating once what you have established. Rigveda, you are repeating this Nama as somebody has put the name of that Veda as Rigveda and has told this is Rigveda, and that you have collected in your mind is called the Nama. Nama is not created by your thought. I told it is Rigveda, so you said it is Rigveda. So, hey Maharishi, so that Nama, from where did you hear? How did it come to you? Through the speech it has come to you. So who is greater here? The speech is greater than the Nama. So, hey Maharishi, meditate, dhyana, dhyayate on the speech. Vangvai dhyayati. So Sanatkumara has given a list of every conceivable thing in this world. Conceivable things which can be conceived. All the objects of sense, the five elements, all the living beings in every kind of species, everything that you can conceptually know, pleasure and pain, knowable, unknowable, righteous, unrighteous, virtue and vice, good and bad, vice, good and bad, this and that and what not, every blessed thing in this world. All these are objects of knowledge about which Narada has plenty of information and whose names he is acquainted with, is what Maha Rishi says here. You see, these are all names. He said, I have explained all these things. Pleasure and pain are nothing but experience. What is pleasure? Your classification, pleasure and pain. But what is it? Experience. Knowledge, knowable, unknowable, experience. Righteous, unrighteous, experience. When you come to this is what I said, thought is only experience. Now you see, by the time it came here, how many differences it has been created here? Virtue, good, bad, this, that, right, wrong, and things like that. They are all nothing but, if you say everything, is only vidya, jnana, experience, that's all. From that, these are all derived. So he said, these are all objects of perceivable, conceivable objects. These objects are understood by the manner through the speech. So Bhagavan says, Sanatkumara says, so anyway, here what is the thing to understand as far as this chapter is concerned? That speech is superior to the Nama, to all of this, because it is a causative factor behind names of these objects. So if one has a complete knowledge of the principle of speech, the science of speech itself, then one will know about all the languages and thereof, of every science that is expressed in language. Whoever meditates on speech as the absolute gains everything that is possible within the limit of speech. Okay. If you meditate on speech, if you meditate on Nama, you perceive whatever is perceivable within the knowledge of the Nama. When you meditate on the speech, you will perceive whatever is perceivable in the limitations of the speech. That's all. So, everywhere that limitations are there. Only that can be understood and eliminated. What is understanding? Understanding means eliminating. That's all. That what you have understood, you have eliminated from the list to understand. Is it not? When you make a material list, that material is bought, what you do? Strike it off. Yeah. So, understood, when you understood, it is no more there. That means your attachment and attraction will not go to that. It's an understanding. True understanding is that. That's called the realization, not understanding, realization. In the same way, in life, if we understand things properly, we strike off that, so that it need not be repeated again. You see, each and every action, each and every emotion, each and every purpose, each and every desire, if I understand it, I strike it off. That which has been, that's why he said, the list of conceivable things that can be conceived. That which is conceived has to be delivered. Once it is delivered, it is through, out. It is conceivable. So how it becomes conceivable? That which can be delivered only can be conceived. which cannot be delivered, cannot be conceived. It's impossible. All these things, whatever listed here, hey, Maha Rishi Narada, Deva Rishi, they are all conceivable, material objects for you. You remember I told you some time back in our class that in order to identify an object, you have to identify as an object. Otherwise, it will be a subjective realization of an object. A subjective realization on an object is only a play of words. Subjective realization only. Subjective realization of an object, a flask. Somebody will say this is its color. Somebody will say this is its shape. Somebody will say this is its make. Somebody will say this is the purpose of it. Nobody will say all these things together. Right? I show you something. All will say according to their own conceiving capacity, because that can be delivered. They will say only that. Nobody will say, as anybody can say a complete explanation of, unless one sits and thinks about it as an analytical way. I am not saying that. No. So, an objective experience is what? Which is subjective experience only, because whatever you have that in you as an emotion, that is only expressed. Where you get attracted, oh, it's a beautiful flask. What do you mean by this beautiful flask? Somebody says it's because of the shape is beautiful. Somebody says that the color is beautiful. Somebody says the purpose is beautiful. The size is beautiful. Small, very handy. So it's beautiful. Is it not? Classifications are there. What is the objective experience? Is it really an objective experience? No, not at all. It is purely a subjective experience according to your emotion. If it is an objective experience, it has to tell the whole object. Complete description of the object has to be there. That's why in order to identify an object, one has to become an object. That nobody does. Nobody knows except Maharishis and Tapasvis. No one has this knowledge. For him, that's why I said, for him, there is no difference between the subjective and objective experiencing. Everything is subjective experiencing. There is no objective experiencing. An object is also, when he analyzes the object, he becomes the object and analyzes it. How does he know your problem in you? He becomes you. So automatically your problems are known. No study is required. No. For him, the subject is not tied by his ego, where I can call this is a subject and that is the object. See, it's not simple to understand this word. Why he is able to do it? Because his subject is not a rigid form which is arrested in a particular shell or in a particular form or particular form work. It is everywhere. He is everywhere. His subject is everywhere. Since he is everywhere, any object that comes, he is in that also. Like breeze. Breeze has no difference between fragrance and the smell. It will pass through the rubbish dump. It will also pass through the fragrant, fragrance, whatever fragrance, flowers. It has no difference between them. Its purpose is only to spread. So if that breeze has to identify an objective experience of a flower, 100% it can experience because it is passing through that. It doesn't have any restriction of arresting itself into a physical form or a mental form or an emotional form or an attachment or detachment. Nothing is there because he is everywhere. That's called the subject. I am not calling the subject as the one who is within the flesh and bones of one's physical body or form and shape. That's not subject. So when it becomes that, everything is a subjective experience. Is there an object? No. Everything is subjective experience. That is how a tapasvi or a rishi finds out. Not sitting in that, the small little man who enters into you magically and finds out and then comes back into him. Then he says, this is what you are. No. All these actions are not necessary. Then it becomes an action and a reaction. It is not action. It's a natural phenomena of the subject to spread all over. So for him, there is no difference between the subject and the object. So what is experience? Subjective experience. Everything is, who is experiencing? The subject is only experiencing about the object. Experiencing about the object, what we call it as an object. No? Dvaita Siddhantam. Bhagavan says, meditate on that speech, which is the cause of the Nama. In the introduction, I have already explained, so I will not repeat it, but every time you have to connect it. That is why I told you to have the Pratishtta of the embodiment of the Guru, embodiment of Jnanam, so that Nama also goes there, speech also goes there. You don't have to unnecessarily struggle to analyze it, that speech is superior to Nama. Then what is Nama? Should speech is Nama? Speech is Nama is speech. Should I stick to Nama only because Nama can be at least chanted and it is good? Ramanamam, Krishnanamam. But the speech, everything comes. Not only Nama, which is superior. All these doubts will come. So this is why in the introduction. So this, my introduction has to be there when you are listening this Upanishad. My introduction of this has to be there always. So everything should be correct. That's why I told you in the beginning itself, you will get confused when I read further. That is why I am explaining this. I have told this, if you can go back and see. So that you have to surrender, samarpana of everything there. Everything comes from there and everything ends there. Nama is also the Guru. The speech is also the Guru. My samarpana is also the Guru. My upasana is also the Guru. My nididhyasana is also the Guru. So the me is no more there. It's the ultimate again. No. Okay. So what happens? He says, do tapasya on the speech, he said. So he said, Sayo. Sayo vacham brahmetyupaste yavadvacho gatam tatrasya yatha kamacharo bhavati yo vacham brahmetyupaste sti bhagavo vacho bhuya iti vacho vava bhuyo asiti tanme bhagavan bravitviti iti ditviya khanda. Bhagavan bravitviti. Bhagavan said. Bhagavan, what he says? He who meditates on the speech as Brahman, he who meditates on the speech of Brahman, repeats, acquires freedom of movement as far as the range of speech is concerned or speech extends. So from the speech you get liberated. From Nama you get liberated. So various Namas will not be there in the world. Don't restrict yourself only to Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda and Nakshatra Shastra and what is it? Jyotisha Shastra and etc. etc. Everything which has got a nama, is that what you should understand? Not only these names which we have pronounced here. Yeah. All the namas. Anything, that means anything that you hear is a nama. Everything has to be surrendered. Because they are all come from the speech only. All these namas, what you are listening, all the names, that means, names means, all the subjects what you are listening is also names. All the talks that you are listening, all the names, all the subjects that you are listening, everything has come from speech. So that's nama is inside the speech. Because speech is the one which produces the nama. The speech is greater. Speech is a cause. Nama is pregnant in the speech. So nama being pregnant in the speech, meditate on the speech so that you get the benefit of both. When you renounce the speech, during tapasya what happens? Renunciation. When you renounce the speech, what happens? Speech along with nama is exhausted. Don't have to separately do it. Is why soyo vacham brahmotyupaste yavadvacho gatam tatrasya yatha kamacharo bhavati. Then he repeats bhavati yo vacham brahmotyopasteti bhagavo vacho bhuma iti vacho vava bhuyo asti iti tasme Bhagavan bravittviti. Hey Bhagavan, now he says bravittviti, can you please tell me? After the speech is over now, Maha Rishi Deva Rishi said, okay, fine, I will do meditate tapasya on the speech. But hey Bhagavan, bhuya iti vacho vava bhuyo stiti tanme, hey Bhagavan, please tell me, is there anything greater than speech? It's not the end. What is greater than speech? Is there anything? He's not asking what is greater. Hey Bhagavan, tell me, is there anything greater? Because I do not know. Is there anything greater? If it is though, iti vacho. Bhagavan, bravittviti. Surely there is something greater than speech. May the Venerable Sir tell me that. So he requested apeksha. We can call it as a request. Actually, request is not apeksha. Request, when you talk something, everything has to be explained, It becomes like that. What is request? What is request? Normal, common word we are using. What is request?
Prayer.
Yeah?
Prayer.
No. Prayer is prayer. Request is a separate word.
You have a question to ask.
Request is not when you have a question to ask. It's an action, requesting for something. You are requesting that, you are requesting this, you are requesting. When you are requesting, you have a specific purpose in your mind and you ask for that particular thing is called request. Requirement is asked is request. That means requirement is specified by you. Who finds out requirement? Requirement is yours. Based on what? Based on your kamam. Based on your Moha, based on your desire. Requirement is that what you are requesting, is it not? Is that this? See, you can now you can understand. So requirement is yours. See. Whereas this is not a request, even though the translation is said here. Apeksha, we say. Apeksha is also told as expectation, apeksha. Okay, waiting for something, apeksha. Waiting for something. Here, that's why apeksha. He said, I don't have any requirement. I do not. That's why I said, I don't know whether it is any there. That is why Deva Rishi said, hey Bhagavan, is there anything beyond this? If it is there, then you tell me. See, he has not fixed it. But whereas request is what? This is there and I want it, I know it, this is what is required for me, is a request. But I cannot acquire it, so it's a request to you. Right? So, now I'm just telling on the way, these are words very important in spirituality. And that is why we have a lot of things that is in Hindu Shastras are great that way, Whenever you offer anything to the Guru or the Shreshta than us, great, our elders, our parents, our Mata Pita is the most revered, the elders considered equivalent to God. And then the Guru, then the God. When we offer that, everything is offered like this only. There should not be with one hand, because then one hand will do something else. Both hands have to be occupied in that giving. So both hands to be given. So that's why, even if it is a small thing, it's offered, even if it is one grain. I've seen puja and all, or when Kujela is offering the one grain of rice to Bhagavan. How is he offering? Keeping it either like this or like this, whatever it is. Both hands have to be there and then the offering has to be done. Both hands. Whenever you give something to the precious, or you give it like this. Whenever it has to be offered, it has to be offered like this only. You can never give it like this. Neither you can place a flower like this, nor a grain like this, at the feet of the Shrestha. It has to be like this only. Like this. That's why all the puja vidhis you will find, everything is put like this, even though it is little inconvenient. This is much more convenient, but that's not given. Why? Because you are always at the receiving end is what the meaning of it. Not as a giver, even though you are only offering it. It doesn't mean he has asked you, it's not a requirement. The one who requires will only do like this. The one who does the apeksha, that is why we offer like this. That's why it is never given like this. Because he is not a receiver. He cannot receive. You cannot give anything. What can you give? Nothing. So he is the one who is a giver. Even though you are thinking you are submitting, you are only submitting, but you are the receiver, is why it should be offered like this. So, like this, there are so many things in us, and also we don't ask a question directly to Shreshtas. Even when the Gurus they explain in the ashrama, they are only in the ashrama. You must have seen that they only come and assemble, and they do the prayers. Then whatever he says, he listens. If there is any doubt also, whenever doubt is there, it is not directly. It is not asked that, look, is it not like this? No. You do not interpret it like that. Is it not like this? Is it not like that? No. When something is not clear, so he, as here, according to this language, hey Bhagavan, it has been told in Upanishad also, many places I have read it. Here itself, I think, earlier itself, who was that? Okay. That he says that, hey Bhagwan, will you please repeat it, what you said? Will you please repeat it? He doesn't say it is like this or it is like that. It is there in the chapter 5, I think, we have explained about this.
Shvetaketu.
Shvetaketu and Uddhalaka and Shvetaketu. So the son Shvetaketu is asking, sage Uddhalaka, not Uddhalaka, is a great person. We should always remember them with reverence, no? The sage Uddhalaka. And that is another thing. We should never, that's our culture and our, so we should always address them with a lot of respect, because they are great, knowledgeable people. We have to address them as Bhagavan, we have to address them as Maha Rishi, Tapasvi, Jnani, Guru. We cannot tell this name, just name as it is. That's why in our culture, the saying only the name, is not good. That is only meant for the elders to call. Even when elders call also, they will add along with that, son or daughter or something, they will add. Here also, even small boy, hey Ram Babu, Babu will be added to that. It's not the name, but the name is only Ram. It is again addressing an Atma, you see. It has a meaning behind it. It's not simply like that. Everywhere it is there, all over our country. It's added, something is added to that. So beginning is. So therefore, our grandfather, we cannot say, oh, so and so. No, cannot say that. No, my grandfather, so and so. This I have told in, if I remember correct, in the, where is that Ramayana? We have explained in the
Ram Gita.
Yoga Vasishtha. Yoga Vasishtha, we said that whenever they explained about Bhagwan Rama, nobody said just like Ram, no? Said that Dasharatha Putra Ram or Vasishtha Shishya Ram. Ram also introduced himself like that. Suryavamshi Dasharatha Pratama Putra Vasishtha Shishya Rama is me. This is how he introduces himself. Not Ram, disciple of so and so. Now comes to section 3. See how the language difference is. Mano Vava Vacho Bhuyo Yatha Vaidvai Vamalake Dveva Kole Dvau Vachau Mushthir Anubhavatyevam Vacham Cha Nama Cha Mano Anubhavati Sa Yada Manasa Manasyati Mantranadi Etya Athadite Karmani Kurvatyetyata Kurute Putrascha Pashum Aschechepya Cheyachata Imam Cha Lokamamum Te Cheyetyachechate Mano hi Atma Mano hi Loko Mano hi Brahma Mana Upasveti. You understood? What is greater than the Vani? Vacha? Mana is greater, he said. Section 3. Mana is great. Beyond the speech, the superior is the mind. Because the mind is the one which is able to express both Nama and the Vani, both. The datas of this Nama and Vacha, Vak, both are two parts of Mana, incorporated in Mana. Mana has to intend it to express. Even though it comes from the head, it comes to the chest, it comes to the throat, it comes to the tongue, and it comes to, express it. Vaikari. But who intends it? There has to be a force behind it. Who is a force behind it to bring that thought, the Nama, converting that Nama into Vacha, Vani? Who is that force? It is the Mana. About the mind we have talked quite a lot, I think, various times, in different times. Excuse me. Various types of actions comes from the Mana. Mind is the one who has an intellect, is a part of intellect, is the one who has got intelligence. Mind is the one who is a mediator between the Indriyas and the Atma. Mana is a part of the Atma. Mana is a part of the Antakarana. So this Mana is very important. In a human body, mind is very important as far as a Karma Yogi is concerned. Because Mana is the one which everything has to root through Mana. There is no other way. Even though the Indriyas got independent activities, the thought level has got independent activity, Vacha has got independent activity, emotions have independent activity. Even though they are all independent, this assimilation of all these and appropriately mixing it together depending upon the requirement of execution of a karma is done by the Mana. So mind can twist and turn depending upon its interest. Mind is an authority. Mind has got enormous powers, great powers. It can influence the whole body and the Indriyas. Even the thought cannot do anything because thought is static. Thought has no ability to function into the body. He has only present himself. He cannot apply. He cannot force himself on the mind. He cannot force himself on the Sharira. He cannot force himself in the Indriyas. He cannot force himself into the will in intelligence. It is not possible. It can only remain as present. That's all. Now, like the electricity is present. Yes. To convert it in different shapes and forms depending upon your requirement, you have to accommodate the instruments based on that. Whether it is a heater, whether it is a cooler, or whether it is a light, whether it is a fan, or any other equipments or instruments. Various instruments having various functions, contradictory functions. Everything is done from that power, from that electricity. Electricity is only he cannot apply himself. Electricity doesn't have a choice. Oh, you use me only for light. Use me only for refrigeration. No, he doesn't have a choice. Same way, the thought and experience of ours, our previous experience, Purva Janma, Karma Phala, and our thoughts, They are present. This is what was your experience, this is what you have done, this is what is your karma bala. You have been born in order to exhaust the karma bala. These details are available in presence of the mind. Now it is the mind who picks up, according to his choice, what is to be chosen from that, and apply it along with the emotions and the indriya's experience and other things are concerned, and execute a karma, saying that this is what I am going to do for exhausting that karma. Whether it exhausts or recreates a karma phala, that depends on the karma. But he is the authority, has got the freedom and authority for the application of that self in the physical self. Nobody has got that authority. There, others are only present. That's why we say Ishvara is always there. You have to make him apply that in Ishvara Tattva in him. That is your job, they said. What is you? Here the you means mana. Mind is such a mediator who is very powerful. He has been appointed in order to take the function of the physical activities are concerned. And without this mediator of mana, nothing is possible for the sharira and the indriyas. So what has happened? If the mind is perverted, he will take a perverted idea, he will use it as a perverted function, and he will acquire a perverted karma phala. That perversion, in order to remove that perversion into version, you have to take another janma per. That's why per piece, per janma, per, per. Perceive price per item so much, per pair so much, per janma so much. Is perversion, per version so much. I don't know. I don't know. I just say these things, but it fits into the subject. Okay. That's all what matters. You understand it, that's enough. I know there is no, I don't know there is any reality in it, but anyway, this is what it concludes to. It is a perversion. If you identify an object as a perverted thought is very clear. Thought cannot change. Karma phala, a result, cannot change. Result is a result. How can it change? It cannot change. Is it not? The karma that has been executed in the previous janma cannot change. Static. Karma is static. Karma phala is static. And the existence of that memory and existence and projection is static. There is no difference because projection is done by the Atma, which doesn't have any interest of intrusion in anything, which is absolutely a projector. That's all. It projects. Now, the choosing has to be done by the mana. Mana is the one who has to be capable enough. That's why intelligence and will comes there. This will come later. Through that instruments of intelligence and will, through the practice of mana, molding of mana, we said. Mana, molding of mind, we said. Through the molding of mana, because mana is flexible, anywhere it can fit in. It can change any time, any moment, because it needs that capacity. No, it's not simply like that. It's not a perversion, or it's not a unrighteous decision that has been done by the Atma or Brahman to give such powers to mana in order to change its form and shape depending upon requirement at any point of time. On the verge of talking something, the mind will say, hold it. You hold it and it can change. You see? This is done by the mana. At any point of time, so mind should have that capacity, so that the capacity has been given for what? Not to become bad, but to become good. Something unfortunately suddenly bypasses and comes, and it is supposed to be exposed and expressed, which ultimately will turn out to be a very, very dangerous, detrimental karma. he can stop it even at that moment of time, revert it back, and then regress, and then repent. He can repent. He has got a capability to repent. Who repents? Mind repents. Through whom? Through ego. Mind repents through ego. The repenting capacity is given to mana. What is repenting capacity? To reverse the process. What is repentance? Reversing the process. No? So that repentance capacity has been given to the mana. Mind can use it. So, never it is late. It is said, no? It is never late. It is never late or too late. Whatever it is. Too late and late both are same. To emphasize that probably, no, it is too late. That means you can be late. No, I don't understand. It is never late. The mind can hold it at any point of time. Mind can change its decision before it is expressed. Then lots of calamities can be avoided. Before it is dropped, it can stop it. Before it is expressed, it can stop it. So again it goes back to the repentance. Oh my God, good that I have turned it, but I should not have thought about it. Why did I think about it? I should not have thought about it. This regression will take place and then purify it, and the karma phala will go into that section where it has been purified. Because that's why they say repentance is a great, great punishment. Repentance is a great knowledge. From repentance, one gains great knowledge because it is done by the self. It is done by your own manner. It is done by your experience. It is done by knowledge to correct the experience that you have experienced. It's called repentance. So this comes from within, is why it is told that it is the biggest punishment or biggest correction that can be done is repentance, paschatapa. Paschatapa, the tapa which is done later after doing it is paschatapa. Paschatapa. This facility is there only because one has got a mind. Only one has got a mind has got the facility of paschatapa. Only one has got a mind will also do tapa, so he has got paschatapa. The others do not commit a mistake. So there is no question of repentance. Mana will commit a mistake, mana will also correct a mistake. Both facilities are given to the mana. So you understand now how powerful the mana is. It can commit a mistake, it can correct its mistake. But now, I have spoken enough about the capacity of mind, how mind can influence our indriyas, our sharira, our mana. What you think it can, it can be expressed in the sharira. Mind is getting angry, it can be seen in your eyes and face. Mind gets the affection and love, it can be seen in the eyes. Mind gets karuna, it can be seen in the eyes. Mind gets, see, just how that flexible, invisible character is influencing and intruding into each and every organ. As I told you, it doesn't have a shape and form, firm shape and form, which is confined in a particular framework. Like the breeze I told you about, the going through the flower and spreading the fragrance. The mind travels through all over, inside and outside you, and can project whatever is necessary. Why? Because it has no firm shape and form, and it can be conceived by anything and everything. Since it can be conceived by anything and everything, the one who is not training the mind will get conceived into anything and everything. Okay. That which has got the capacity to enter into anything and everything, if it can be controlled properly, it will enter into only that what is required for us. If the breeze is passed through only the flower, we gain the fragrance. Don't allow it to pass through the other. In order to identify it for the purpose of identification and learning, you can allow it to go through the garbage. But after having experienced it, allow it only go through the flower. It's called the training or molding of mind. Mind can learn everything. Mind can know everything, should know everything. Knowledge is that which is complete by knowing everything, including the worst of conditions and the worst of things that is available in the world has also to be incorporated because it is also part of knowledge. But they are apara vidya. Do you know that I have explained about apara vidya and para vidya? Apara vidya, which is not para, is apara. Apara vidya, that which is not beyond, that which is in the limitations is called apara vidya. These are all come in the apara vidya. So you can limit according to your requirement. You can limit or expand apara vidya, but your purpose is that to go to para vidya, which is not known, which is not known, which you do not know, which is not conceived, which is not perceived, which cannot be understood. As I told you, that which is unbelievable. Para. What is beyond sky? I don't know. Somebody said the heaven is there. Somebody said the hell is also there. From the heaven, there is a dividing wall and there are few steps. Go down there only, not here, there only. So, hell and heaven are the neighbors. Door opened, but it is a steel door, and then two Dwarpalakas are there with the Trishula standing in front of that. Allow you to go inside. That is called the Naraka, this is called Swarga. Nothing like that. No, we don't know what's there. No? Beyond that, we don't know what is beyond the sky. We don't. Apara vidya. What is beyond the vidya that I know? Para vidya. This is apara vidya, what we know. Apara vidya can be learnt. Para vidya cannot be learnt. Para, we don't know whether it is called vidya. That also we don't know. Para is para. Para and apara has been divided. So in the apara, the purpose of the apara is that to know everything, identify everything, mold everything in order to prepare yourself to the para. That none of them are, what I have learned, is true. Is para. Is why that which is unbelievable. These are all believable because I have experienced it. It's called belief. I believe that is very bad and I believe this very good. Both we say believe, no? I believe that is a bad place. I believe this is a good place. Believe. Para, whether it is bad or good, I don't know. That's all. One word. I don't know is para. When it is I don't know, then if there is something called para, amazing, unbelievable, amazing. Is how Brahman word has been invented. How the word Brahman has come. What is Brahman? Brahman is that which cannot be explained is called Brahman. Which cannot be known is Brahman. which cannot be known. That means from apara, who can know? Who can know? The mind, intelligence and knowledge can know. That which can be known is all this aparavidya. That which is not known, which cannot be known, which is inexplainable. They said, in the Vani there is Brahman, in the Visha there is Brahman, in the ear there is hearing, the hearing is done by the hearing instrument that is there in the hearing. That what is hearing can be heard only because that hearing capacity is there in you. What is that hearing capacity? That is Brahman. That what can be seen only is seen by the seer, by the seeing, which has got a capacity to see, is Brahman. Now, you see, what is Brahman? Inexplainable, because it cannot be explained. When it is there in the Vani, can it be explained by the Vani? You have a dish to eat, there is salt or sugar in it. All other things can be seen. Yeah? Can you explain salt in that? Don't forget about the salt. Can you explain or see the salt in that? No. As far as salt is concerned, you can only experience it. Okay. You understood? I mean, it is very small. It's not like that, but something like that, no, in a higher degree, that cannot be tasted also. That cannot be tasted also to know. Even in this case, the salt in that cannot be seen or separated. Can you separate it? So there is salt in it. So in hearing, there is Brahman in it. Can you separate Brahman from that? The swad, the taste of that is only because of salt. The moment you take the salt out from that, or you did not put add the salt in it where there has to be salt, whatever good it may be looking, the same thing it is looking like that only. No, this is not tasty. No. Wherever there is no Brahman, it is not there in the universe. So everything is a Brahman. What is Brahman then? Aha. Inexplainable, invisible. How the word Brahman has come then. The first, the beginning, Rigveda has explained the Brahman. How? Rigveda says, Tma, after Ma, Tma. One word is there, Tma. No meaning. Nobody knows what is the meaning. This is what? Tma is the beginning of the world, beginning of the universe, beginning of everything is called Tma, is it? Is what Rigveda says. This is from the Shruti. Maha Rishis have put it in the Shruti. Okay. Now the Maha Rishi, the great Tapasvi Jnani, did tapasya on Tma, like he advised to take tapasya on the Nama or Vakya. Same way he did tapasya on the Tma, extended, then he found out Tma, Atma, no, Tma is not Atma, Atma. He concluded, so that's how Atma has come. That which is not there, Atma. So he said, which is not there is Atma. That means Atma is Tma. From Tma, Atma has come. Then he meditated on Atma. Further he went, meditated, banged his head on the wall. Ultimate. Everything has gone into that Tma and Atma. Everything is in the Atma. Everything has gone into the Atma. Only Atma remains. That Tma remained and Tma vanished. And then what happened? Nothing comes. Then suddenly a word appeared to him is Brahman. So the Brahman has been put. There is no meaning to it. Nobody can explain in words or in thoughts Brahman. That's why he said, like he has experienced it. He, from the Tma to Brahman, he has experienced it. Now, this cannot be explained to anyone. Even he cannot explain it. So he says, it has to be experienced. In fact, anything in this world has to be experienced. As I always said that, even though there is a word called pain, pain for you and pain for others are different. It is not the pain that what you have. You say, when I get a pain, my hair stand. Okay. Another says, no, when I get a pain, the hair falls. It's not standing. No, see, just joking. But it is exactly, that's the truth. Yes. Your pain and my pain are totally different. My pain is my pain, your pain is pain. What is that? Experiencing. Everything is like that. Your taste and my taste is same. Okay, you say good, I say good. But your good and my good is totally different. On what basis I am saying good, what your basis you are saying good is totally different. You got it? If this can be done by us, here, why can't Maha Rishi say that this is Brahman? And when he explained about the Brahman, when he experienced about the Brahman, he said, I cannot explain it. Everybody has to experience it by themselves. Is why Ramana Maharshi went into finding out the Brahman. Who am I? Brahman. He said, what? Then he said, what he said? When he went into finding out Brahman, he found out Brahman. Then he said, now what should I do? Somebody went and told Brahman, you had been suffering all these days. At least now, since I don't have to suffer for all that, so please impart with that knowledge to me, what is Brahman? Then he said, who am I? Ask yourself, you will get it. You see, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Swami Vivekananda said, show me the goddess, then only I will believe you. Like that, each and everyone has to experience it himself, then only the Brahman can be identified. Like that chemical which is, which you put in the tongue, and they wanted to know the taste, I think till now they are not found out the taste of it. Somebody could write only S, according to what I have learned in our schools. Somebody could write only S, whether it is sour, whether it is sweet, whether it is salty, whether it is what, that you cannot make out. By the time after writing S, he died, because it was so fast. So if you want to know that chemical, you have to experience it. That's all. It cannot be. It cannot be told. I'm just telling an example, because it is physically example. It's available. Is what I'm saying. Why physically example? As I told you, in everyday's life, every experience, what you hear is not what she is hearing. I'm talking the same thing. Every one of you is hearing different, actually, depending upon your own choice, your own experience. So Brahman will be based on that. Brahman is a word which has come to him after doing tapasya from Tma to this. But the most expressive word that can be told is Tma and the Atma. Tma is the first, Atma is the second. So Atma has been considered as Brahman. Considered as Brahman. This is not only here, even the scientists, even the greater scientists whom many people today, they say that, oh, it is science. What science? The physical science is called like material science. Actually, it's material science. Even in material science, it says that how this result has come, there is a power behind it. Said. He doesn't accept because he's a scientist. I think there is a bar on him to accept God. So he says, no, I am untouchable, so don't touch me. God, when you say untouchable, okay, don't touch me. So he says it is a power, same way. Initially how this has been invented, that even in the science, in the physical science, a physicist in the Europe somewhere, when he experimented the power of the creation and things like that, he did not know at a point of time how to end it, from where it has come. Somebody has asked how the universe has come. Now there has to be a point from where he has to explain it. So the last point he said from where to it has come, he said, is known as, it's a Greek word according to the professor says, it's a Greek word, it is known as lapton. L-A-P-T-O-N or T-O-N-E, which the dictionary says it is, which is like infinite, which is like without wires, without any connection, without something like that, which is infinite. It doesn't have a meaning to it. So the scientist, because the science has told that, so he says everything has come from lapton. Same thing the Maha Rishi has told, it has come from Brahman. Everything has come from Brahman. When Brahman is that which is, it is like this, you see. For a lady, a child was born, and then when she was explaining, when he was grown up, he says, I was there when I was born. He said, I was there when I was born. So she said, you were there when you after your birth. Before that, where were you? Before that, where were you? Were you existing? But you were born. From where you have come? Something like that. Where was that? It is a status like that. Brahman. So everything is Brahman. From the Brahman, that which is nothing, or which doesn't have a samaya, which doesn't have a kala, which doesn't have a function, when a anu, paramanu has come from that, beginning of samaya started. Then the development started. So, anyway, so this is, what is that now? Unbelievable. This unbelievable, that's all. Because it cannot be perceived or conceived by the intelligence or the mind or the capacity of your or your ego and other things can perceive it. It is beyond your paravid. That's why I said paravidya. Parajnanam. Aparajnanam, parajnanam. We all know it only aparajnanam, not the parajnanam. Parajnanam has to come only through grace.
Pratishtta, grace and faith.
Pratishtta,
Grace and faith.
and faith. Absolutely right. Pratishtta, grace and faith. Faith has to be there. There is no other way. You have to have faith. Pratishtta has to be there. Grace has to be there. Then only the paravidya can come. Aparavidya can be learned by anybody. This you can also read, I can also read. I am reading, you can also read. Probably you will be better than me when you explain it. Absolutely okay. So he says, meditate on the speech, vacha. When you meditate on vacha, all the vacha goes into the Pratishtta. Vacha is no more there, nama is no more there. Then goes to the mana. Meditate on the mana. Who is Mayavi? Mana is a Mayavi, no? Magician is. Can create magics. Moment to moment he creates magics. Yes. Enormous capacity it has to perceive, to conceive. Enormous capacity to change. Enormous capacity to do the paschatapa, prayaschitta, paschatapa, prayaschitta also. Doing the to do something to complete the prayaschitta is paschatapa is prayaschitta. Prayaschitta. Chitta means intelligence, will. Through the will or the intelligence, doing something is prayaschitta. Prayaschitta. Doing by that. Beyond the chitta of pare. So executing something based on the prayaschitta, based on the paschatapa, based on the paschatapa, doing something is called prayaschitam. By doing that, the ego gets satisfied, paschatapa. That's why prayaschitam. Yes. Chitta gets satisfied. He has done, committed some crime. He has been punished for 20 years. Can it be reversed? Can the crime be reversed? Is it possible? It's not possible. What is that? Paschatapa and prayaschitta. It is prayaschitam only. I did a prayaschitam. Who is satisfied by that? Not that crime that you have done has been reversed. No. Prayaschitam is only the chitta has been pare, has gone back to that which is understood, executed, that it is wrong, should not be repeated, it will not be repeated. Prayaschitta. That execution is done not for any punya you will not get. God will not bless by that. No. Prayaschitta is done only for your ego to satisfy and make your mind to study that. This is the molding the mind, I told you. What is that? Molding the mind, because mind is very fictitious and it has no change in shape and form. It can enter into anywhere, it can change its forms and shapes and decisions. Seeing, no, if you see something, it can turn into seeing as something else. Yes? That's why everything that is seen is not truth. You may be seeing something, but the truth is not that, that is there what you have understood. It may not be truth. आंखों देखा सच नहीं होता है, बोलते हैं ना. कानों से सुना सच नहीं होता है. अरे, when I am gone, then what to do? Neither what I am seeing is right, nor what I am hearing is right. Absolutely. Because it is not through the righteous process. The listener is listening. For that, what is required? The mind has to be molded to listen. By whom? By the inculcation of the Brahman in that. For that, what is necessary? Jnanam. Mind has to be trained to get imprisoned in the jnanam. When he gets imprisoned in the jnanam, like the salt in the water, the mind will get diluted into jnanam. The mind, in place of mind, there will be jnanam. So like the mind pervading all the areas without any restriction, jnanam will start pervading all areas. Then the hearing will be there. Hearing will be heard. That you will hear what is heard. You will see what is seen. Am I clear? Then what you see will be the truth. Then what you hear will be the truth. Till then, it will not be the truth. Absolutely no. Because you will, that's why we call There are so many phrases, afterwards that reading in between the lines, we said, Hari. Line itself is too small and in between. Reading in between the lines. Who reads it? That what is unwritten is called not. That means you read something which is not written or which is meant. Who reads that? Even though it is not written like that, who reads it? Your mind reads it. That means you are not reading. Am I right? You are not reading what is written. You are reading something else. That's called reading in between lines. That means seeing what is not right, hearing what is not right. I heard you told me like this, but I didn't say like this. I said like this. But I heard like this. So what happened? Who is at fault? I thought you are unhappy. What a great thinker. Brahmajnani. I thought you are unhappy. See the terms? So I have decided you are unhappy. I decided whatever it is, okay. No, something like that. These are all examples I am telling you. So what you see is not seeing, what you hear is not hearing, what you speak is not speaking what you are supposed to, what you smell is not smell. Anything, Indriya is not functioning as it is supposed to function unless the mind gets diluted into the jnanam and the mind becomes the jnanam and that jnanam becomes all pervasive. When it becomes all pervasive, everything that you do will be the jnanam through the jnanam and that will be the Brahman. Ultimately what happens? You need not to recognize and realize and analyze what you are seeing, what you are hearing, what you are thinking. When what you are thinking, what you are seeing, what you are hearing, what you are speaking, what you are smelling, everything is truth and Brahman and jnanam, when will you think about it? Will you analyze about it? Is there a karma? Is there a karma phala? Is there a sakama karma? Is there a nishkama karma? Nothing is there. So, how to mold the mind? To make it a jnani. That's all. Yes. Fill with the jnanam. Truth, for that what is necessary? Faith is necessary. Otherwise, the mind will say that is not right. We have to say that is right and you be in that right only. That is why such sessions are conducted so that one is influenced through the mind. Your mind is influenced towards the facts so that people who have an inclination towards it, the mind which is not retracting too much, restricting too much, objecting too much, or disturbing too much, it can flow into this, into jnanam. Merge with that is why it is being expressed. So when the jnanam comes, it is shown through the eyes. When the jnanam is perceived, shown through the eyes, that the satisfaction is seen in the eyes. That's an expression, seen in the eyes. Otherwise what will happen? Always there is a question mark, a doubt and a fear. Always incorporated in our seeing. When we are preoccupied with these factors, how can you see? What can you see? You see only fear. Yes. This is why such sessions are necessary. Tapasya is necessary. Meditation is necessary so that the mind is transformed with all its qualities. Don't have to analyze it. With all its qualities, put it into the jnanam. It starts transforming into the jnanam. That's all. Put the salt into this curry or water or curry. Nobody is bothered whether it will melt or not, whether it will get mixed or not. You are sure Put the salt. He says, I already have. We put the salt. He says, finished. Nobody asks whether the salt has melted in that. No. Has it gone in each grain of upma? We have no doubt in that. No? In each grain, it is there. You see? So much of grains are there. So little salt is there. It is there in all. Anywhere you take any grain, small grain you take out, you taste it also, no, about whether salt is sufficient or not while cooking. Very little. No? Each and everywhere it will spread. If it is there all over. That's all. Brahma Tattva Jnanam. This Jnanam, when it is there, the mind will automatically get into, dissolve into that is called the Mana. So Deva Rishi meditate, tapasya on Mana and dissolve it. Then Deva Rishi will ask further, Hey Bhagavan, is there anything greater than mind? Hey Bhagavan, if there is anything greater than mind, will you please tell me? I will tell you in the next class. What is greater than the mind? Shambho Mahadeva. So establishing a rupa in the mind for meditation was the subject we discussed in the last class. This is necessary because of the function of the lower consciousness in us. Once one reaches the higher consciousness, this gets dissolved into the higher consciousness. The lower consciousness having attracted, having attachment, having functions through the objective experiences and mind, it has to depend upon and focus upon an object, what we think as an object. In fact, it is subject only at last. It has to focus on something, otherwise the mind, as its habitual divergence and habitual attractions to various points at the same time, will get distracted from the aim and function and purpose that you are in. That's why a decision of a particular Pratishtta is necessary. An emphasis has been made when explanation of Pratishtta was told that Pratishtta, which is your Guru, embodiment of Jnanam, specifically I said, only because that Pratishtta, the Guru, the embodiment of Jnanam, should be the ultimate that your mind can reach. Beyond that, if mind something else, the mind will get attracted to that. So there should be nothing inferior to that which you are doing a Pratishtta on. That can only be the Guru because there is a Rupa. Guru because it's an embodiment of Jnana. Guru, it is because of representation of the Brahman, for which you are trying to attain. So this is the example I told you about the Rishi Pipalada's Prashna Upanishad. Changes into ultimate, because mind cannot go anywhere else which is equivalent to this or more than this. So the Pratishtta should be that which cannot equal to anything else. That should be the highest form. This highest form in this status is nothing but the Guru. Any other thing can be overtaken by something else, is it not? That which is the highest form of the Brahman in the consciousness concerned is the principle. When you reach the higher consciousness, this Rupa, Akara and Vikara will get dissolved into the true Brahman. So the Rupa will transform. The Rupa of the established Pratishtta in your mind will get converted into that which is Nirakara of the Guru. Akara of the Guru is that which is expressing that which is the quality of the Nirakara, that is established in the lower consciousness. When you transform into, when you reach the higher consciousness through the process of traveling through the spiritual path with firm conviction, determination, focus, sthita prajna, then you attain the Nirakaratva of the Akaratva, which is the same. The appearance in the lower conscious mind is according to the characteristics of the lower conscious mind. The appearance in the higher conscious mind is according to the characteristics of the higher conscious mind, that's all. But that which you are characterizing should be one. It cannot be something else in the lower consciousness, then expect it to transform into higher consciousness with a different attitude and aptitude. You see? It's okay? It should be the same, but it automatically gets transformed when the transition status takes place. When the transition takes place, it should not be altogether a different subject. That cannot happen, no? Like the mind. Mind is a part of the Antaratma or Atma, which has got different various functions and different characteristics. When these characteristics are dissolved into the mind automatically transforms and transits to the Atma, is it not? They are not different. Same way, in order to have a transition, it should have the same characteristics of both. This is why, do you understand what I am saying? This is why I told you to have the Pratishtta of the Guru. Getting it? Who is an embodiment, see, qualify it. Who is an embodiment of Jnana, but only thing to suit the convenience of the lower conscious mind, which has to focus on so that it is anchored and it should not be destabilizing the thought process or the establishment, is why the establishment of the Pratishtta should be Guru, which is an embodiment of the Jnanam, representation of the Brahman. This is a representation of the Brahman. So when the conscious mind, when it is changing from the lower consciousness to higher consciousness, the embodiment of the Jnanam will convert into Jnanam. That's all. You see, it should be as close to transition as possible so that the transition should be easier. Alright? Getting it? If it is altogether a different subject, it has to pass through various transformations. It cannot change into the by one step. Suppose there is a line here, you should be closer to the line in order to cross that. When will you say you have crossed the line? Only when you step it on the other side. Suppose you are very away from the line and you have to cross the line, still you can do it, but what happens? You have to walk few steps, then only cross the line. Now, transition is not that easy. These steps will have lots of hurdles, lots of distractions. Yes, lot of obstacles, lots of variance, lots of time, kala. Kala should not be applicable for transition. You should not allow the kala interfering into that. See, the moment kala interferes, it will bring a lot of changes in that. Getting it? Right? If you allow the kala to enter it, will bring lots of other things along with that. Is why the necessity of establishing the Pratishtta in order to focus on the tapasya in dhyanam, so that dhyanam is in the right direction. In fact, if there are two things, it is not called as a dhyanam at all. Dhyanam is that it is to be one with it, and it is automatic. When you are establishing this in your mind, and when your focus, sthita prajna, is on the Pratishtta, your upasana is on the Pratishtta, your nididhyasana is on the Pratishtta, your total attention and faith and dependency is on the Pratishtta, automatically you become the Pratishtta. When you become the Pratishtta, then only you can understand and realize and recognize the qualities of Pratishtta. Unless till then Pratishtta is different, you are different. This is why in the previous class I explained you about identification of an object. In order to identify and understand an object, it's always subjective realization. It is not objective realization, because it is your subject with your emotions, with your understanding. You are trying to understand the object, not as an object, but as a subject depending upon your convenience. I told you a lot of examples to that. Yes. But in order to really understand the object, you have to be the object. In order to understand the Brahman, you have to be really the Brahman. In order to understand the Jnanam, so understanding is not there. Yeah. Who will understand and how will you understand unless that is there? So this is why the great sages, great tapasvis, great knowledge, great Vedas have inscribed and also detailed about the Samarpanam, Upasana and Nididhyasana. These are the ways how you can attain the quality of merging with the object. Quality of merging with the object is necessary, then only the subject is understood clearly. When the subject is clearly understood, there will be no object, because there is no objective realization. It is all subjective realization only. Objective realization cannot happen. Objective knowledge can be there. Objective realization is not there. Only Subjective realization is there. That's where realization is on the self, not the other than self. Not the other self, but the self. Yes, is known as, that's the language it is put. The other self and self. There's nothing called other, it's only self. That's the meaning of it. The other self is not there. The other self is not there. That means another is not there. The other self is not there. There is only self. When it comes to that, what will happen? There will not be two. Pratishtta is different and I am different. I am doing the Pratishtta. Once I do the Pratishtta, I become the Pratishtta ultimately. When you become the Pratishtta, the lower consciousness changes into the higher consciousness, or has changed into the higher consciousness. Till the time you see the two, the lower consciousness prevails. In the lower consciousness, in order to complete the status of lower consciousness, transition of the lower consciousness to higher consciousness, all the knowledges have to be understood. That is why that is the time where we have to understand all that, everything. Kashta, dukkha, bandhana, everything has to be understood, is what they say. Yes, everything has to be experienced. Is why Manushya Janma has been given before the liberation. See, through the Manushya Janma, one can experience all this. And Manushya Janma is meant for experiencing it, not for getting involved in it. They are two different major subjects. One is involvement, another is experiencing. Experience it. Don't get involved in it. In certain cases you cannot involve, like suppose there is a breeze. The breeze can be experienced only. You cannot involve in it. That is the Panchabhuta. Those which are the Panchabhutas can only be experienced. This is the lesson. How you will identify what is called involvement? Suppose somebody asks, you ask, what is involvement and what is experiencing? What is the difference between these two? Very hairline difference. Experiencing is like breeze, which is a Panchabhuta. Breeze can only be experienced. Whatever you try, you cannot involve in breeze. Can you? You got it? This is called experiencing. It should be like that. Everything in the life should be that. It is almost like involvement, but there is no involvement. When you are experiencing, you will feel that you got an involvement. You have to feel that. If your involvement is not there, see, it is a vicious circle. If your involvement is not there, you cannot experience it. If you are not experiencing it, you cannot involve in it. Right? To have the breeze, you have to involve in it. You have to be ready to get the breeze in, and then you have to feel it, enjoy it, involving it. Do it. Bhagavan said, do it. Enjoy it. It's nice. It should be like that. But having experienced, you should understand that you are not involved in it. Having the breeze experienced it, you are not living for that breeze again. You are not involved in it. Had the experience, fine. Anything that comes in our life, because of our past life karmas, certain karma phalas have to be experienced. We have to undergo that. You go through it, but don't get involved in it. Whereas in the human characteristic is what? They get involved in it than experiencing it. They get involved in it than experiencing it. They say, Bhagavan said, involve in it to experience it. That's all. That means the involvement has a limitation till the experience. After the experience is finished, after the experiencing is completed, the involvement should be withdrawn. Involvement should be a tool to experience. Am I clear now? I've just analyzed it this way. Like suppose a child is crying, the mother is totally involved in it, and she keeps crying with the child. You cannot stop the child crying. Right? Child is crying. It's perplexed, now what to do? So nothing, because stuck. Because there is an involvement with the child crying. Our child is my child. So it is crying. It isn't suffering. So when it is, you think it is suffering, you suffer. It's an involvement. Instead of you undergoing the suffering along with the child, you understand the child is suffering. Involve. What's that? Your involvement is that you are understanding the child is suffering, but experience that involvement of the child, experiencing that you have involved in the child's sufferings, but that involvement should be helping the child to come out of it, not you to go into the suffering. Here what happens? You are going into the suffering instead of you saving the child from the suffering. Am I right? You getting it? It's a great secret again. No? Rahasya of Prakriti, Rahasya of the Tattva, Rahasya of the Jnanam. In everything is like that. Love, affection, attachment, attraction, suffering, kashta, dukkha. In all this what happens? You get involved in it than experiencing it. Your involvement should be only to the extent of experiencing it. The moment experiencing it over, the involvement should not be there. The involvement should not be the priority. Experiencing should be the priority. Involvement should be the tool to experience. Because unless you involve, you cannot experience it. You jump into the cold water, then only you can feel the chillness, coldness of the water. To that extent, involve. After experiencing it, don't remain in the cold and become the cold. You come out of the cold. In a snow-peak mountain, you, in order to experience the snow, you involve with the snow. To experience it. After experiencing it, you come out, then only you can say, the snow is cold. When you come out of the water, then only you can say, the water was cold. When you come out of the suffering, then only you can say, that was suffering. What happened? You have learned. That's called knowledge. That's called knowledge of suffering, knowledge of experience. Okay? Bandhana. Involve it, identify it is bandhana. So you understand this is called bandhana. Now one by one you understood. Experienced, and nowhere you are involved. Your involvement was only to the extent of that experiencing. Experiencing of suffering, experiencing of kashta, experiencing of dukkha. Everywhere you are there. You are involved. But involved to the extent of that. Are you getting it? It's a very tricky subject, but one has to understand it very, very clearly. This is called spiritualism. If you are materialistic oriented, you will involve but not experience. If you involve yourself with the snow, what will happen? Experience will not be there. You will become a part of snow. That's all. You die in the snow and you will become one with the snow. You attach yourself with the suffering, you will become the suffering. You do not know suffering. What is suffering? Nobody can explain what is suffering. Can anybody experience? Can anybody tell what is called suffering? Tell me, what is suffering? What is suffering?
Feeling pain, feeling.
See? That's it. Now if I have to ask you what is pain? You see, this is where we are now. What is pain?
Can be physical pain or emotional pain.
Again, yes. It keeps on going. Why? Because we are involved with it. No? We are involved with it. We are not experienced it. See? When you involve it, the experience is not there. But yes, we have got small examples for that. As she said, physical pain. I had an injury. It was painful. That pain I know. How is my pain? My pain and your pain are totally different. The injury may be the same. Yes. When you cut here, your pain is different. But someone else cut there, their pain is different. Huh? You won't believe it, no? I know you won't believe it. Because I got an answer for it. No, that's why. When your small son, 2-year-old son, he walks and fell on the ground, he cut his knees. What do you say? It's a small cut. Am I right? It's a small cut, but for the child, it is very big cut. Right? That's why I said, what is his pain? You do not know. Because in your status of 50 years old or 70 years old, for you it is a small cut. But for him, it's the biggest pain that he has ever had. But for you, it's a different pain. It is not at all a pain. What's after all? I'll put a plaster. Now don't worry, I'll beat the floor. Okay, you know. We'll make the child happy. Beat the floor because floor hurt you. So beat the floor and then put a plaster. See, it'll be okay. Take a sweet and then he's happy. But his pain, feeling of, what you said about the feeling of pain, you said, no? This feeling of pain is different from him to different from you. Then what do you mean by its feeling of pain? You understood why I am asking all this? What is called, there is no statistics for that, you see. There is no firm definition for the pain. That's what I am asking you. Is there a firm definition? Somebody says, oh, it's after all a minor surgery. Array, for you, it is a minor surgery. The man is undergoing that. For him, it is a major surgery. Yeah. I remember one day, when about a few years back when I was working, I started getting this because it's only about 20-25 years I have this problem of breathing. Before that, I was perfectly okay. And of course, I was working in different atmosphere and all that. I had absolutely no problem and all that. So when I came to here, Calcutta, and then when I was working in the office, one day suddenly I started gasping. I didn't know what to do because it's a new experience. Then somebody helped and all that, it's okay. Then somebody said, what happened? This has happened. So one of my colleagues said that, what is there to worry? 80% of the people in Calcutta are having the same problem. How does it matter for me whether 80% people having the problem or not? But I am suffering, isn't it? His conviction, it's not for him. I still remember that word, This has happened 25 years ago. He said 80% of the people in Calcutta is having the breathing problem because of the pollution. Or because of whatever it is, XYZ. reason why are you bothered? His experience is different, my experience is different. Though which one is the experience? Both are not experience actually, both are involvement. None, these are not experiences. I was involved, so it was too much for me. He was involved, that is why it is too less for him. Both of us has not got the correct degree of the pain. If I could analyze, if the feeling, as you said, the feeling of pain, if I have identified this is called pain, it should be same for me and same for him. Right? I should be able to say, this is called the pain. Can we identify? This is called kashta. Can we identify? This is called dukkha. Can we identify? No. Why? Because we got involved. So when your involvement is there, the status of the pain, status of kashta, status of dukkha is different from individual to individual. You are saying it is kashta, another man is also saying it is kashta, you are saying it is dukkha, another man is also saying it is dukkha, but your dukkha is different, his dukkha is different. His suffering because of the dukkha is different, your suffering because of dukkha is different. How it can be? But when I say rain and when you say rain, both are same. Got it? In Panchabhutas, because there is no involvement there, because that is you. The rain is you. Because water, apaha, is the same. Water is same for you, for me. There is no difference. Agni is same for you and me, same. But kashta, dukkha, things are different. Why? Because it all been identified, experience, not experience actually, but we call it as an experience, so we call it, we have different experiences, we said. No? We have different experiences. How can experience be different? 2 plus 2 is 4 for you and 4 for me. How this can be different? Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga. Mathematics. Determining the right, you see. What happens? 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. That's all. Both have got the same experience. Both have got the same involvement. The involvement is only to the extent of experiencing. That's all. After that, the involvement is different. Now you understand what I am saying. Then we realize that none of us have experienced, we have only involved. So long you are involved, you cannot experience. Unless you experience, you cannot exhaust your karmas. Is it not? How can you exhaust them? Because your involvement means you are stuck to it. You are involved with your dukkha, involved with your kashta, involved with it. You are involved with the dukkha which has already happened. Tell me, how are you suffering with your dukkha and kashta? That which has happened already, where there is no more correction can be done on that. We are having dukkha and kashta based on that. Because you are involved, you are not experiencing it. Where is your kashta and dukkha? Based on the previous only, based on the past only. Where is a study on that? Where is an experiencing on that? You got it? Is why an experiencing has to be done through involvement. For that, involvement is, to that extent, involvement is necessary. You cannot transform yourself into suffering because of some suffering. You are involved into some suffering. Experience the suffering and come out. That which is experienced by you yesterday, the suffering that you had yesterday, should be looked upon as an experience, but don't get involved in it. The involvement in it will not teach you the experience of suffering. You will only be suffering continuously without learning it. Is it not? If you are involved, you are continuously, suppose you are in that उसको क्या बोलते चक्की, where the oil is extracted, the cows or the bulls will be there. It keeps on going round and round. That's all. No, it never reaches any point. It keeps on round and round. Why? Because it has to rotate on this. It is involved in it. It is not experiencing it. Is it experiencing it? In order to experience it, he has to cover a distance. Here what happens? He keeps on rotating on this. He is involved in it because there the involvement is necessary in that case. But in our experiences, it is experiencing. Am I clear? Is it okay? Involvement should not be there. Involvement should be there only to the extent. That's why they say don't involve yourself. That's also wrong, even though. But it's a term of saying that you don't involve yourself. It's only spiritually also they say that don't involve yourself into the materialistic world. Means that don't get stuck by that. It has to be understood, but stage by stage only this can be made understand. So the word is there, don't get involved. Don't get involved. Sakshi Bhavam, they have already told. In spirituality, what is it? Sakshi Bhava. He only can see that. He can only experience it. The true Sakshi only can know which is a crime. The man who has experienced it, the man who was involved in it, or people who are involved in it, they cannot say whether it is a crime or not. The man who is killing, he is right according to him. The man who is getting it, he is right according to him because they are involved in it. But the man who is looking at it as a witness only can say which is right and which is wrong. So his involvement should be there to learn, to study. Yes? Otherwise he cannot say. So he has to study this and he has to study both. So he has to involve here, he has to involve here, only for the purpose of experiencing, come out and have an impartial judgment of both of these is called experiencing. Bandhana, Bhagavan says here, what is called freedom? It's the knowledge of the causative factors behind the bondage. This is what I have explained. This sentence is what I have explained to you. What is it? That what is called freedom, it is knowledge of causative factors behind bondage. Knowledge of causative factors behind bondage. Bondage, everything is bondage. When you have bondage, that's what I said, bondage is called involvement. Bandhana, involvement is also bandhana. When you have bandhana, bandhana should be to that extent to understand the bandhana. Then detach yourself. As I always told, our Puranas have explicitly explained about the sannyasa and vanaprastha. As I told you, the different stages of life, balya, Kaumara, Yauvana, Vardhakya, Jara and Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. In each one, the previous stage is renounced. In each one, previous stage is renounced. He doesn't get his involvement to that is only up to that, up to the experience. In Vardhakya and Jara, he does not have the involvement in Yauvana and Kaumara and Balya. It won't be befitting to his life. He will not have it. That will be only an experience to him. That's all. His involvement to that. We have got a lesson. We have got a very, very clear example in our own life is what I am saying. You are not involved into the Balya, Kaumara, Yauvana, Vardhakya, Jara and the Sannyasa, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa. In whichever position you should be in that position. Otherwise what happens? The involvement will only destroy you. This is what happens. There are many people, of course, who live only thinking about those old days. Especially old people. They cannot accept they have become. Vardhakya and Jara is not acceptable. So they will sit in the lake. Discuss about it at 20 years old what has happened. Well, up to that extent, just for these things, experience and examples, one can say that. Cannot live with that. No. But what happens? They start living in it. And they're forgetting about the present. So Bhagavan says here, causative bondage, the involvement. Bondage should be only to that extent in order to experience it. Why did I say this? That means the mind is so perplexed or diversified with activities, it doesn't know where to get into this Sthita Prajna. So when you do the advantage of the Pratishtta is what I am saying. So what will happen? Pratishtta will not bind you because it's embodiment of Jnana. In that you cannot involve. It's not possible. You can only get an involvement to have the experience. Why? Because in the spirituality, during tapasya, during dhyanam, yes, this involvement is dhyanam. Dhyanam is what? Involvement. Dhyanam is involvement with the jnanam, that's all. That's also an involvement. But when the dhyani becomes the jnanam and the representation will not be there, both will become the jnanam. This is called experience. That's why dvandvam. Suppose somebody remains only in the Pratishtta, I have done the Pratishtta and this is the Pratishtta. If they remain there, the Dvandva, the I and the Pratishtta, I and the embodiment remains separate. They have to grant. That's why Upasana and Nididhyasana, through that what happens? He gets layam into it. That's called layam. Layam is a swabhava of the mana. So, don't have to worry whether I will get layam or not. No. Because mana is getting involved only because it has a characteristics or it has a quality of layam. How are you enjoying an object? Because it has a layam to that characteristics of the object. How are you enjoying the food? Because you get layam into that food. That's why you are enjoying. Suppose you are eating the same food, thinking about your work, will it be tasty as when you are enjoying the food, as enjoying the food? I hope you all understand this. No? Many people, when we are working, every day we are late for the office. So what happens? Where the late has to be covered? Only in breakfast. Nowhere else it can be covered. So while eating, what happens? Half eaten, half drank, 3/4 eaten, fast eating, half chewed and half let the digestive system take care of it. I got a very strong stomach and liver. Let them take care of it also. Not that sitting and eating quietly. Let them also work for it. So half chewed, half eaten, half, if it is not possible, half will be carried to the way, on the way, so you can eat also by the time you reach your finishing eating. What happens? Do you enjoy it actually? Do you get the taste of it? No. One day when you have time and you sit, oh, I never realized it is so tasty even though I eat it every day. Small examples I am giving you. When you are involved, then your experience should be there. When you are not involved, experiencing is not there. One. Second is that after involving and after having the experience, it should remain as an experience, no more involvement. Then only you can say it is an experience. That was an experience to me. How do you say that? Involvement should not be there. When involvement is different, experiencing is different. When it is separated at a point of time, it should be called as an experience, no more involvement. Where is the involvement to be done then? Then this involvement, can it be independent always? And not who is that who is involving and who is that not involving? This involvement should get involved into that what is called as the quality of bondage. It should disappear into the quality of bondage. Where? In the mana, in the atma. Who produces this quality of bondage? Mind has produced the quality of bondage, is it not? Or quality of involvement. Who produced it? Mind. Because of what? Because of desire. Because of attachments. Because of non-understanding. That means avidya, ajnanam. Because we do not have the jnanam, the involvement and the bondage has happened. Because of the ajnanam. But bondage has to be again divided into two. One is a temporary bondage, one is a permanent bondage. Bondage to this janma only, bondage for this purpose only, bondage for permanent purpose. All are bondage only, is it not? Go to the shop, we have a bondage with the shopkeeper, materials in the shop. When you come out of the shop, and to the shop, come out of the shop, no more bondage. What he has, how he runs the show, what material they have, we are not bothered, is it not? But when you go there, you are bothered about it. Please, I am going into detail. Why? Because your mana should be tuned to that, then only dhyanam is possible. Very important to know for dhyanam. This will be an obstacle for our dhyanam bondage or involvement, is why I am explaining this sentence very clearly. That the freedom is that after dhyanam, freedom has to come. It is the knowledge of the causative factors behind bondage. Temporary bondage is that shop, day-to-day affairs, day-to-day people, traveling, day-to-day things. Some more deeper bondage to your own people, to your own society, your own family members, your own close ones, and some more deeper bondage. It cannot be easily shared, even though it can be shared. But there is a word called bondage. No, that's why this all has come. Without fire, There is no smoke, is it not? When I say bondage, somewhere you have to get anchored. When you are calling this also temporary bondage, this is some bondage, this is for 10-year bondage, not bond, bondage. That's also bond only. You are bound by the bond. No. 20-year bondage, 80-year bondage, fine, no problem. But the one bondage which is there, which has come from that, the characteristics in the mind, bondage is there basically. What is that? Bondage with the Atma, bondage with the Parabrahman is a quality. This quality is there. That is why from that quality, the reflections of bondage has been created by the mana. It identifies everything as bondage. Trying to locate how to get the bondage firmly by the mana. Because it has got varied choices to get bondage. Ultimately, what is mind's requirement? To get bondage to that which is permanent. In order to get a permanent bondage, our mind is trying through, it's a trial and error method, trying through all these bondages. Ultimately, fails at the end of the life and get bonded to that truth, again come back to experience it and establish it. A mind who is not established with the Pratishtta will get bondage with all these subjective bondages and will not reach into experience, will remain as a bondage, unexperienced, but a mind which has got bound by the Pratishtta that you have established, which is a representation or the embodiment of the Jnanam, will ultimately dissolve into the quality of the bondage. Bondage is there. When it dissolves into that quality of the bondage of the Brahman, the bondage is not identified separately. It is one with the Brahman, one with the Atma. When it is separated, identified for an objective purpose, it is known as bondage. The other one is known as layam. Layam is not bondage. Bondage is that you are doing to something else, you are binding, is called bondage. Layam, that you become that, is called layam. Is it clear? So what is kashta and dukkha? What is pain? They are all bondages based on your attraction, attachment and desire. The intensity of these kashta, dukkha and pain and labha, nashta, they are all connected with the temporary attachments and attractions to that. Nashta is temporary attachment to the labha. When that labha gets lost, this is also temporary, that is also temporary. Labha is also temporary, nashta is also temporary. Sukha is also temporary, dukkha is also therefore temporary. When sukha is temporary, kashta is also temporary. Yes. So where is the bondage there? Why should get involved in it? When you are getting involved into that temporary bondage, what happens? Experiencing doesn't take place. Is why you are calling them as labha and nashta, sukha and dukkha. You have no experience. Had you experienced with the involvement, you will not divide them into sukha and dukkha. What are they? A yogi will say, both are experiences. Hunger is also experience. When the stomach is full, is also an experience. Hunger is not dukkha. Full stomach is not sukha. Just telling an example. When you start identifying, then when you can identify, when your involvement is not there, when your bandhana is not there, bondage is not there, then only you can experience it. It's called experiencing. When it becomes an experience, then it becomes knowledge. Because it is causative identification of the bondage. That which is a cause is always superior to the effect. What we are talking is effect. Kashta, dukkha, sukha, labha, nashta. Everything is yesterday, today, tomorrow. Everything is effect. It's not the cause. The cause is samaya. The cause is attachment. The cause is ajnanam. The cause is avidya. Is why these experiences, unless you know them, you identify. This is called knowledge. Knowing means after knowing this, you will not have a difference between both. Both will be remaining as experience. I don't say that when you cut your body, it will not pain. That doesn't mean, I think I don't have to go that low, I think. It doesn't mean that when you cut your body, you won't have pain. You will have pain because you are created with the sensations, and the mind and the sharira will have pain. It is not that when somebody who is very close to you detached, died, you won't have dukkha. You will have. Fine. I am not saying it will not be there. It will be there. But it should be there for experiencing, not for involvement. Everything is there. But that should be for experiencing, not for involvement. One week before, I did not sleep the whole night. After 10 years also, in 2015, January 25th night, I had not slept. Experiencing is correct. Experiencing will be there because we have got a body, we have got a mind, we have got all that. But it should remain as an experience, not involvement. You suffer because of that. Why? Because we are living in it, Very important to you. That is how we could do the past life regression. When you are involvement. Why are we regressing? To remove the involvement and make it as an experience. That which you got involved and you are stuck with that involvement, now when you experience it and regress on that, that will remain as an experience. You detach from the involvement part of it. I am dividing it, milk and water. So, the regression, through the regression, that which is involvement part of it is removed, experience part remains that, okay. As soon as the experience is remained separate, involvement and experience have been divorced, they are independent. Right? They are independent. When they are independent, both have only experience. Involvement is also an experience. Experience is also an experience. When you come to that both are involvement is also an experience. Experience is also an experience. What will happen? Involvement get dissolved. Only experience remains. When experience remains, involvement is not there. Involvement is not there. I am not there. Ha. Who gets involved? I am involved. When involvement is not there, I am not there. When I am not there, only Brahman is there. Ha. beautiful it is. Is it not? You got why I'm saying this? Experiences are there. Experience should be there. So the involvement and experience should be the experience or the involvement with the Brahman, with the Guru, with the Antaratma, with that Jnanam, embodiment of the Jnanam. All pleasures, enjoyments, everything should be with that Pratishtta, with that Guru, with that enjoyment. So the enjoyment is no more a dukkha or a sukha. It's an enjoyment. Enjoyment is not a sukha. Enjoyment is not a pleasure. Enjoyment is a jnanam. In that jnanam, what happened? There are no losses. When there are no losses, there are no gains. Then what have you gained? Then what do you got? You said involvement with the Pratishtta and the Guru and the Jnanam, embodiment of Jnanam. What is that? It is not gain, it is not loss, it is neither gain nor loss. Then what? Then what? The Sachakaram of the self-realization. Sacha. This is me. This is my characteristic. The one who were telling that I have got labha, nashta, sukha, dukkha, kashta, nashta, he is not me, he is my mind. I am the one who is always in the Ananda, Sarvanandam. In the Anandam. It is not Sukha, it is Ananda. Ananda is not Sukha. Ananda is a status of that highest consciousness where there are no intrusions and obstacles. Is Ananda. Status of Ananda. Madonmatta and all that they will say in the Sanskrit, Madonmatta. Unmatta, drunk. Unmatta. Unmatta means drunk. Mada, unmatta, unmatta. Madam is that a status of the mind, which is in the status of that. See. It's called Ananda Lahari. Lahari. See, Ananda Lahari. Anandam, Sarvanandam. So you reach in the status of the Ananda is called that I will not, when the involvement is dissolved into the experience, the I get dissolved. Because I am the one who gets involved, not others. The child crying is not involved. It's I am getting involved with the child crying. I am getting involved with the hunger. I am getting involved with the fulfillment. I am getting involved with the detachment. I am getting involved with the attachment. Is it not? So in that involvement, when I release it, the I will not be there. Then the mana or the atma or the mana gains the experience only. When the experience is there, mana doesn't have a job of involvement. He is idle. When he is idle, he goes back to his original status, merges with Atma and says that you have not allotted me any job, so please take me in. Only when allotment is there, then he can do some job. He is not employed anymore, retired. That's why retirement is a wonderful, it's because that I have to tell. We are retired, so retired people should enjoy, but not get involved. So you understood what you mean by Pratishtta. Why it should be Guru. Why? Because embodiment of Jnanam, where nothing can supersede that, is what I am trying to tell you. If the mind is finding something to supersede that, mind will get attached to that. Because that which is highest according to your mind is a Brahman. According to your mind. Suppose then, but mind should not consider something small as big. That will be Ajnanam. Yes. So Pratishtta should be that. From where the embodiment of jnanam is there. Doing puja to the photographs, doing puja to the idols, they are all based on this principle only. To have a path towards the Pratishtta, so that I can focus on. They are all intermediaries for attaining the permanent Pratishtta. That is why Hindu Dharma has put gods in different shapes and forms. No? Mind gets confused first. Shiva has a Rupa, Vishnu has a Rupa, Brahma has a Rupa, Devi, Mata Saraswati has a Rupa, Mata Lakshmi has a Rupa. Different Rupas are there. Only to go through these Rupas, Nama, Namopasate. When through this each Nama you do the Upasana and waste your Janmas, you finally come to understand that Nama is dissolved. To teach you this, we have Nana Rupam, Nana Alankaram, Nana Rupam, Nana Sthiti, Nana Shakti. They are all Anekam. But all these are Brahman only, from that only. To make you understand that, let there be diversities, doesn't matter. But I don't get involved into that. I get involved into the truth of it. Life has got various activities. Do it, experience it, because it is the karma bhala. Don't get involved in it. It's called living. Living the life. No? Living the life. Life is one. Living it also should be one. But living has got various factors. Only have been given a choice of various factors in order to identify the life you are living. Whether you are eating, it is for what? Life. You are earning for what? Life. You are sleeping for what? Life. You are going somewhere is for life. You are enjoying for life. You are having kashta for life. What's it all for? Life. This identify. So what happens? Your involvement should be temporary as far as experience is concerned. Once only experiencing takes place. When there is no intention of involvement, we are not attached with the karma phala. Bhagavan said in Bhagavad Gita, karma phala, don't attach yourself with the karma phala, give it to me. Principle being, because I have an intention of involvement, I am preserving the karma phala. If I don't have an involvement of involving, will I preserve the karma phala? No. Buy a very expensive flight ticket. You are all traveling abroad. How much? 1 lakh, 2 lakhs. You know? After traveling and come back, do you preserve that ticket? I hope you got it, what I am trying to tell you. Very expensive. Once you have travelled, before travelling, the ticket has got value. It's precious. 10 times you will check your purse. 10 times the partner will ask the other spouse, have you taken the ticket? He cannot take the ticket. No. Or the other way around. Have you taken the ticket? After coming back, nobody asks for ticket. Have you got the ticket? Who has got that travel ticket with you? Have you ever asked? No. Have you got it? What I am trying to tell you? Life is that, for what you are traveling? For life. So this is called living. Living is only an attachment only to that extent. Involvement of ticket, involvement of your attachment to the ticket or your value to the ticket is only up to your travel is finished. Should be understood in all the cases of our life. There should be importance. I am not saying ticket is valid, as I told you. It is valid, no doubt, at that point of time. But all the time it is valid, what? All the time, the ticket is valid only for the travel period, but all the time of your life and the number of lives, that what is valid is your life, your Atma is valid. So your attachment, your involvement should be in the life, all other should be the experience. I think enough of examples for... Is it not enough? I hope it is enough. It should be. Still mind will find out some trick to escape, No. See, how is it possible? No, what is said is true. This is what Bhagavan wants to make us understand. Hey Manava, I have given you this Janma in order to experience it. Get bondage, get involvement, get binding to that extent. But your permanent bondage, when you have dhyanam, in the status of the Pratishtta, of the Jnana Pratishtta, embodiment of the Jnanam in you, what will happen? All this will remain as experience because he or that, whatever it is, will protect you from getting involved. No? Like you get disinvolved from a travel ticket by your intelligence, by your no more purpose of it, no more attachment to it. Why? Because the company has declared that ticket as invalid for traveling twice. Is why you do not have an attachment to it. Had the company said in this ticket you can travel once more, then that will become precious to you. Your attachment will be there. No? Which one of this in this universe is necessary for you permanently? They are all temporary. It will come and go. Nothing will remain. Yesterday is already past. You cannot revalidate yesterday for today. I have not experienced it. Rewind it. Let me see what has happened in yesterday's show. We cannot rewind it all, no? Only some of the important things we will rewind. Other things we don't. It's a very important chapter. This has to be understood and established, is why I took 2 classes for this particular purpose of establishment of the embodiment of the Jnanam. That's called the Guru because it is the light that initiates you, helps you in initiating. Initiates you means what? That which initiates you helps you in initiating into the living subjects depending upon requirement. Where it is not necessary, it is not initiating you. The initiating in initiation in the sense or initiative in you, you take an initiative hand, is it not? In getting your things done. It's called initiativeness. Your initiativeness is what makes you do this, makes you do that, makes you do that. This initiativeness will be guided and directed by the initiation or the initiative initiated in you and established in you. That's called the Jnanam. That's called the Brahmajnanam. That's called the embodiment of the Guru. Is what explicitly explains about the Prashna Upanishad. Chapter 1 to chapter 6 is called the living. In the beginning of living, my experience is different. The end of living experience is different. So this experiencing, but what happened? Both are same. Sthita Prajna on that. The Shishyas had the Sthita Prajna on that Guru, so they could experience. The transformation in them has brought the vision of the Guru in them. So it is not the Guru who is not that or not this. It is not Rishi Pippalada who was Pippalada in the beginning and the Brahman at the end. Pippalada was Brahman in the name of Pippalada, Nama Matra. So, Nama Upasate. Rishi Pippalada's Nama Upasate, the Nama has become Brahman. I'm connecting everywhere, trying to reach everywhere with the same tool. Nama Upasate, it has become Nama. But initially Nama was there. It is the same applicable for all these few chapters I am coming. This introduction will be applicable to that. I will not repeat it. So Upasana should be that. Then he will be the one who initiates you. How did the disciples of Rishi Pippalada, I understood him as Rishi Pippalada? Because of the initiations in him have created an initiative to have the vision to a jnani who is known as Rishi Pippalada. But even then, there was a qualification. Why did they come to Rishi Pippalada? Because they identified Rishi as a jnani. This identification of the Rishi as a jnani is a guidance by the established factor in him, initiated, created an initiative in him to go to that jnani. Okay. Once he reached the jnani with his initiative, now the establishment is Rishi Pippalada, he being the embodiment of the jnanam, created an initiative into travel to Brahman. So he saw the Brahman. Is that clear? It's not. You think about it, don't have to believe me. Contemplate it, see that whether it is right. Who is taking you say that you are taken the initiative. Where did you get that idea for taking the initiative? Come. It is from somebody who is creating an initiativeness in you, like the life makes you living, like the embodiment of jnanam makes you take initiative towards the jnanam. So when you take the initiative, initially in the lower knowledge, certain rupa, akara, vikaras are there. Gradually this constant application of the initiative into the field of the jnanam will make you transform you into the jnanam. So what happened? Ultimately the disciples have seen him as Parabrahman. Has he changed? Who has changed? Your initiative has changed. Why it has changed? Because earlier your Pratishtta was different, now your Pratishtta is different. So when you do the Pratishtta, it should be with full faith and should be, why did I say all this? That should be the last which doesn't have any more chance of change. Everything should get, as I told you in the beginning also, everything should begin from there, everything should end in that. Everything is from that. So the lower consciousness required this akara initially, the embodiment of the jnanam. Everything, that's why submit everything on that charan. Surrender samarpana to everything to that. So what happens? You will be initiated, no? To have the initiative. That means you will be guided to go to the right path. You don't have to try to find which is right. The one who doesn't know what is right, how will he find which is the right path? Who guides you towards the right path? Pratishtta will guide you. That initiation will guide you. It's called initiation. So that you will get the initiative to travel towards that path. When you travel towards that path, this initiativeness in you and the initiation that you have got, the Pratishtta in you, will be found as Brahman alone, nothing other than that. So you will have a layam with that Brahman. Whatever you think and do dhyana, you will be having the layam to that. So you should have that absolute faith and have the capacity to layam only based on the faith. So you should establish, whenever you are establishing, establishes that as the supreme. This is my Brahman. Like we said, Bhagavan Shiva is a Brahman, Maha Vishnu is a Brahman, Bhagavan this one is a Brahman, Guru is a Brahman, Tapasvi is a Brahman, Jnani is a Brahman. That which gives you jnanam, guides you from moment to moment. That's why somewhere said in Upanishad, I think earlier I have explained, a living Guru is necessary. A living guide is not necessary. Living Guru is necessary. Guiding can be done by you also. When the Guru is there, when the Jnanam is there, when Tapasya is there, when Dhyanam is there in you, it can be done. So, a living one who can answer you, who can guide you, who can show you, who can guide you, who can also be a guide, who can show you the path, who can answer you, your doubts, your mind can be transformed into that status which can be accepting the Brahman as it is. Mind has to be transformed to that quality to accept the Brahman. Today the mind is attributed to with the qualities and qualifications of attaching you to the materialistic and bhautika achara vicharas. You are more concerned about it. You are more worried about it. You are more involved about it. See? Why? Because the mind is that. The moment the jnanam takes over that, your priorities will change. I won't say things will not be. As I told you, Tapasvi also eats food. We also eat food. You cannot generalize he is like us or we are like him. We cannot generalize because we are eating food. As I told you, lots of these things will be there. But what happens? Priorities will change. They all will become, for you, food is a nourishment. For you, it is an enjoyment. For you, it is a celebration. For you, it's an occasion to eat food. For you, it is it's a what do you call? It's very precious. For Tapasvi, it's an experience. Both are eating the same food. Your perception is different, his perception is different. This is what happened. That's what I said, priorities will change. This will happen. When you get Brahmajnanam, Brahma Sakshatkaram, when you get involved in the, I'm stressing, involved in the Pratishtta, the embodiment of Jnanam, you will be doing the same thing, but your consciousness will say, this is an experience, that's all. Externally, others will not know, but internally you will know what is the difference. That's why to see the innermost of that jnanam, you should have a jnana chakshu. They say Bhagavan Veda Vyasa has blessed Sanjaya with a jnana drishti. What is that jnana drishti again? He did the Pratishtta with his powers in his mind. So he is through seeing the events through Through Vedavyasa. Because he has transformed himself into Vedavyasa. And Vedavyasa can see everything. Because he is a Trikaldarshi. Embodiment of the Bhagavan himself, Brahman himself, Ishvara himself. So when he does the Pratishtta of that embodiment of the Jnanam, who is known as Maha Rishi Vedavyasa, who is embodiment of the Brahman himself, when that Pratishtta was done in him, he could see everything immediately. Got it? He could see everything. This is the importance of Pratishtta. I think enough of there are thousands of examples like this I can give you, but in our life also, in our life also we can give. When you do the Pratishtta of something, somebody becomes bad, somebody becomes, somebody calls somebody as here Godfather, or he is my so and so. He is Godfather. Why? You do the Pratishtta of that and follow that person. Your mind imitates him. We all imitate. I told this long back. We all imitate, you know that? If at all you have to imitate, why not imitate the embodiment of jnana? Why imitate? Imitation is necessary. Why? Because the mana doesn't have its own qualities of independent individual capacity to act, because it has to act according to imitating the Atma, where you have an experience already registered there, which is previous life's experience. You are living this life in continuation to that. So, Pratishtta. Am I clear now? That's called the freedom within you to identify the cause and the effect and be the cause, not the effect. Because the effect will have to undergo the experience of the karma phala, the cause will only do the karma. Effect will have to enjoy, suffer, or enjoy. Is it good enough? Shall we go to the next chapter? Yes. Enough of exploration. We can go on doing it. No, there will be no end, actually. So many examples are there in our own life. If you take a day-to-day life also, you will find so many examples. You don't have to go for Sanjaya and Dhritarashtra, Vedavyasa. That is why, for even great Devatas, Maha Rishis are very important. They don't want to make the Maha Rishis prakopita. Why? Because they are the embodiment of Jnanam, they are Pratishthas. We are seeing that stories are there, Sapta Rishis, Jnanam, 7 Jnanam. They are only bifurcation of the one Jnanam. As I told you about the Jyotish, like Narada explained, this Veda, that Veda, Jyotisha Vidya, Ayurveda and Nakshatra Vidya, lot of things. So they are all identification. That's why Sapta Rishis. It's the same actually, it's one. It's all from Bhagavan Shiva. So from that Jnanam. But it is identified as 7. For us to get a guidance, for our mind to get guidance, and then the distraction is finished. We travel through that Saptarishis. Then we'll travel to Sanatkumaras, Sanatadis. Then we reach the abode of the absolute Jnanam. They are all representation of the Pratishtta, Guru, representation of the embodiment of the jnana. So when you establish that is the Brahman, you should have that faith on that, because that only that you can see today. Whatever you can see only can be done. If I say heaven, can you imagine what is heaven? Hell we cannot imagine, heaven we cannot imagine, Brahmaloka, even though we all say that, Brahmaloka, Kailasa, Vaikuntha. Can you imagine? We cannot. Except that what we have seen in the movies according to those directors who were shot somewhere in a room with decorations on that. We can only see that as Kailasa. Because today that's only our perception. We cannot have beyond that. So when we have that limitation, staying in that limitations, we have to do the Pratishtta and approach that as a Brahman. That will take you to the Brahman. So, the change and transition, then, is it true that it's Brahman? Yes, as I told you. That's why I told you all these examples. Rishi Vipula, the first day and the last day as Brahman. This, when you transform your lower consciousness to higher consciousness, this also get transition according to that. And you will see that, okay? Chapter 2. Now, section 2 will stop this chapter 1. We go to chapter 2. That's the end of the chapter 1. So yes, there is what he says that. So he says, whoever meditates on the Nama as Brahman. Here it is only Nama. I have told you Pratishtta and all that for your guidance for the next few chapters. We are taking one by one. So don't get confused. Is why I told this already earlier. Earlier also I told this. Nama, so name, meditate on the name, and this all the name he said. In section 2, great shloka has been given. Vagvavanam no bhuyasi vagva rigvedam vijnaya matavi yajurvedam samavedartha mahavedavarram chaduttamadhyasa puranam Panchamam Vedanam Vedam Pitra Tashri Devam Nidyam Vako Vakyameva Gyayanam Deva Vidyam Brahma Vidyam Bhuta Vidyam Kshatra Vidyam Nakshatra Vidyam Sarvadeva Jana Vidyam Devam Cha Pratiruvim Chavayam Cha Jagasham Cha Chabascha Tejascha Devascha Manushyaśya Pashuscha Vayasya Cha Trinavan Aspadi Jnavadanya Kira Pangarga Pipiligam dharmam cha satyam cha nurvam cha sadhu cha hridayam cha hridayam cha yadai vagnam abhishya bhavishyance dharmo na dharmo vijna bhavishya avishyanma satyam nanatam cha sadhu na hridayajna vage vaidastarvam Vijnapayati Vachamupasveti is what Bhagavan says. Why did he say this? Because Narada has asked, Hey Bhagavan, Bravidviti, please tell me, Bravidviti, please tell me, what? That is there anything greater than the Nama? Is there anything greater than the name? So, Sanatkumara said, definitely sure, there is something greater than the name. Hey Bhagavan. Who says? Maha Rishi, Deva Rishi Narada requests the Maha Rishi Sanatkumara, Hey Bhagavan, if there is something greater than that, will you please tell me, Bhagavan, Bravitviti. You know, the expression in Sanskrit is totally different. Hey Bhagavan, Bravitviti, let the Upadesha, let that Vani, Vakya let that Vakya, Bhagavan, let that Vakya come from you. Let it come, not that tell me, no, Braviti. No, we say that, no, please tell me. Hey, Guru, please explain me. No, not like that. Hey, Bhagavan, let that Upadesha from your inside, let it become Prakashita. Let it become flown from you. Allow it to flow from you. Allow it to Prakashita from you. Let that Prakasha come from you. Not that just Braviti. That's why Braviti. Uvacha is different. Bravita is different. You see, that's why these differences are there. So, Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna said. It is not that from the Pratishtta. Whereas here, Hey Bravita, Hey Bhagavan, Bravita. Let that prakasham of jnanam, enlighten me, let it flow me. When you detail that, this is the true meaning of this. How humble language, it represents that, the quality of that person who is expressing it. So, speech, he said now, what is it here? Vagvayanam no bhuyasi. What is important than Nama? Speech is important than Nama, he says. Vagva, Vani. Vagva Rigvedam Vijnayamapi. That Vijnanam, it has become the knowledge and it has known to be the Nama. It has known to be the Nama of Rigveda because of the Vani, Vagya, Vacha. Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvanam, Chaturtham, Itihasamuparam, Vidhyasa Puranam, Panchamam, Vedanam, Vedam, Pitriya, Rashim, Daivam, everything. All that, what he says. Sorry. Hey, Maha Deva Rishi, Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvana, the fourth and history, mythology, and fifth Veda, grammar, the rites and the means, mathematics, subject of natural disturbances, mineralogy, logic, ethics, etymology, the subject of ancillary knowledge concerning the Vedas, the science of elements, science of archery, science of astronomy, science of serpents, the subject of fine arts, heaven, earth, air, space, water, fire gods, men, animals, birds, grass, trees, ferocious animals, creatures including worms, flies and ants, and virtue, vice, truth, untruth, good and bad, pleasant, unpleasant. Indeed, if speech were not there, there would be no knowledge of virtue and vice, truth and falsehood, good and bad, pleasant and unpleasant. Surely speech makes all this known. Meditate on speech, he says now. This is why I told you the introduction. Now you understand. You will, otherwise what happened? The Shishya will get confused. First you tell meditate on the Nama. Now you say meditate on speech. Yes, why? To remove that confusion only, I gave you the whole introduction, the previous one, which I don't have to repeat, I think. So Maha Rishi is asking, hey Bhagavan, how again is speech greater than the name? Then what is speech now? Then only we should know how can it be greater than the name. So he says the science of linguistics, general nomenclature of speech is verbal expression, a force that is generated in one's own self. In occult circles, we are told that behind the verbal expression or the utterance of the speech, there are subtler operations taking place inside the body, and these stages of inner working are called the language of those occult sciences. Which are those occult sciences? Occult sciences, which is practiced in the mantrocharana, which are those through which you express this vichara. Para Pashyanti, Madhyama and Vaikari. This I have explained you few months ago when we took the chanting, how the chanting should be done. Para Pashyanti, Madhyama, through the Madhyama and through the Pashyanti, how to do the chanting. I don't know whether you remember or not. I told about the Adi Shankara's story, and also in the movie, and that Adi Shankara's this one, he chants through the Madhyama and Vaikari, and also through Pashyanti. Para means beyond. That's a thought level. Chanting in the para means in the thought. Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, Vaikari. Pashyanti is from the throat. Madhyama is the beginning of the tongue, the base of the tongue, and Vaikari is the tip of the tongue, lips, teeth. They are all involved in the expression. And the upper palate. Yes. So many words are there to express. So many angas are used. So this is called the occult. That means occult in the sense the trick of the application of the science is called occult science. That's why he says here the nomenclature of the groups of name in respects of the object we are told that behind the verbal expression or the utterance of the speech, there are subtler operations taking place inside the body. Before the speech is produced, these are the subtler operations that is taking inside the body, and these stages of inner working is called in the language of these occult sciences. Is what he expresses. So he says, yes, Para Pashyanti, Madhyama and Vaikari. Every word spoken will have an impact on you. There should be an impact, there should be a change. So in the Nama, to bring, as I told you, see, 6 chapters of Rishi Viplada, I again go back. Each chapter will bring him some changes. Same way, from Nama to speech when you come, you get one change. From speech to Mana when you come, you will get the next change. From Mana to Sankalpa you come, you get another change. I am going to change 8 times. Yes. So, that is why I told the story of Rishi Viplada. Now you remember? From, not that he saw Viplada and Brahman. No. From each explanation, gradually the formation has ultimately changed. Same way, here we are going through Nama Upasana, now Vacho Upasana, Vacho Upasana, Vani. In that what is important, these Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, Vaikari has to be understood. They are all the occult sides of the expressions through which these are necessary. So the expressions should be according to that. Then only you will gain the labha of that, you will gain the gain of that through the dhyanam. So he says, meditate on speech, in the sense, what is meditation? Speech, experience it and renounce it. When you experience speech and then renounce it, then only the maunam will come. Otherwise, maunam will not come. Para pashyanti madhyama vaikari has to be experienced and renounced. Bandhana has to be experienced and renounced. Then only it can be renounced. Otherwise it will be a bandhana. I don't have bandhana is a bandhana. That means you have got complete bandhana. The man who doesn't have bandhana will not remember to tell you, I don't have bandhana. Because bandhana is not there. That what is there, we will be only referring to that. Hey, are you worried about yesterday? No, I am not worried about yesterday. What does it mean? I am very much conscious about the worry of yesterday. Yes. So, upasana is that when you do the upasana murti should be the ultimate, not the subject on which upasana is done. Now what happened? Nama is the Guru. Again, Rigveda, I told you, Rigveda is transformed into Guru, Yajurveda transformed, and this is transformed, that is transformed. So, everything is He. Everything is He. Now, Vakya Vani, Vachu Upasate, Para Pashyanti Madhyama Vaikari, I will experience it, and these experiences are having Layam in the Guru, so I am that. Finished. You understood? This is how the Upasana is done. Am I clear? I think I was amply clear in the beginning stages, where you do the Layam to that. So, it is a repetition. I am not going to repeat it. Speech is important, he said. In the speech, there are 8 angas involved in it, 8 organs involved in the speech. What are they? Head, chest, throat. Head, chest, throat, root of the tongue, teeth, nostrils, lips, and palate are the 8 places. Ashtanga. 8 places are involved in order to produce one speech. This is consisting of Para Pashyanti Madhyama and Vaikari. For that, these places are necessary for that Para. Pashyanti, Madhyama and Vaikari. So these 8 are involved in it. This Ashtanga is necessary for that. From the speech is not only, so what do you understand from this? Speech is not only coming from the end tip of the tongue. Speech comes to the head first. Para. It has to come in the same language here, no? It will be the same expression. Whatever comes here will be the expression. Tattvajnanam, for that Brahmajnanam, if it is the Brahmajnani, if he is a Tapasvi, Guru and Jnani, his Jnanam will be the embodiment of speech. For him, there is no difference in seeing and speaking, listening, tasting, touching. No difference. Para is same for him because everything is Brahmajnana. In that particular expression, that what is required is Para, is a head. In the head, we get, how do you speak, how do you get the say? Certain amount of practice is necessary. You have to learn the language, no doubt about it, so that you can use words according to situations properly, closer to proper at least. Yes. For that, vichara is necessary. So vichara should be purified in a vani, vang, as I told you, bruyate. If somebody has to ask for that advice, hey, Bhagavan, bruyate. In the sense, when we are asking, as I told you, when you go and ask Bhagavan Shiv, Tell me how to make tea, cup of tea. कितना चाय पत्ती देने का है, पानी पहले उबालने का है या पहले चाय पत्ती डाल के जला दे? We don't ask that now because that's not why. What you should ask Bhagavan? Hey Bhagavan, impart your knowledge because I don't know how to ask. Head. Which should be always para. Para, beyond. It's called para. Pare, not para, whatever you call it, para. Beyond your knowledge, beyond your intelligence, beyond your practice, beyond your ideas, beyond your experiences, beyond your environments, beyond your expectations. Please remember all this. Beyond all this called para. That's only jnana. It's when we are talking Upanishad, we talk Upanishad, not the normal wordings. Even though the ordinary words also come from the thought only, but here when we are explaining, para means beyond. Para is beyond, pare. Which beyond what? Beyond all this. Whatever is there is called para. I told you now, so many items. Beyond all this is called para. Vak starts from there. When it comes from there, it will be pure. Everything should be pure. Like what Narada said, Namopasana for what Sanatkumara, Bhagavan Sanatkumara said. Bhagavan said, hey Deva Rishi, hey Bhagavan, Namopasana. He did not tell names of XYZ. What Maha Rishi said? Rigveda, Yajurveda, and the Puranas, and this, that, Vidyas. They're all not the ordinary, normal, what we are thinking of that para. No. So, beyond all this is that what is there in the head. So, let that come into your head today, tonight, and tomorrow. Day after tomorrow, we will express it root it through from the head. Okay? Let it come. Om Shanti.